52%. Chapter 261 Upgrade Large Battleships, Unimaginable Breakthrough Materials. Looking at the appearance of the 6 people holding brand new firearms, they couldn't put it down. Coupled with the bulging pockets full of bullets in the pockets of the clothes. Qin Tian couldn't help laughing. Then he told the 6 people, since everyone has weapons in their hands, then we must perform our duties of protecting our warships. Tomorrow we will arrive at a dungeon secret realm. This dungeon secret realm is a bit dangerous, and there are many dangers, and when the time comes, you have to pay attention to your surroundings on the deck, and prevent the enemy from jumping to fight. Yes, Captain, don't worry, we will definitely guard against death. Hearing Qin Tian's words, the 6 people all held their guns, raised their heads and stood at attention and said loudly. Okay, go back and pack up quickly, be careful not to lose the bullets. Qin Tian nodded and let them go back. After they leave, Qin Tian set his sights on the last gun on the bed, the Desert Eagle. Silver, 657, gun body with dark black handle. This made Qin Tian fall in love with this cold-looking and powerful pistol at first sight. He picked it up casually, and directly used Divine Detective Technique to check it. Item. Creation Class Desert Eagle. Quality. Colorful. Attack. 328. Durability. 500. Introduction. This is an ultimate strengthened Desert Eagle. Although its recoil has been increased by the improvement of its grade, as long as you can grasp it, you will find that the power and accuracy of this gun far exceed as you imagine. It comes with 65% crit damage. Gently stroke the cold body of the gun. Qin Tian created 21 yellow 12.7 mm pistol bullets with a single thought. After filling the 3 magazines, one of them went into the gun. The other 2 magazines are pocketed. Farewell the Desert Eagle casually to his waist. He took a step and walked towards the warehouse. When he opened the door and went in, I saw Tang Ming and Sun Xiaoyang were synthesizing materials inside. Captain, feel the door open. The 2 turned their heads. After seeing that the person who came in was Qin Tian, the 2 immediately stood up to say hello. Well, thank you for your hard work. With the materials you 2 synthesized, I feel relieved. Qin Tian smiled and nodded. After staying with the 2 for a while, they got up and left. Maybe it's because I have a new toy in my hand. One morning, neither Rui nor Li Yao came to him for a barrel competition. Qin Tian is also happy and leisurely. Noon. Stewed a large pot of rice in the sea. The dish is Rebia king meat, the chief dish of potato stew. Not to mention the color, fragrance and taste. After eating, the group of people was filled with energy and blood, screaming. Afternoon. Wait until Qin Tian remembers the battleship upgrade. When opening the data backpack on a whim, it was found that the materials for upgrading the battleship were completely sufficient. He immediately upgraded the battleship under his feet without hesitation. May I ask if the captain consumes 500,000 high-quality wood, 600,000 high-quality plastics, 400,000 high-quality nails, and 400,000 high-quality metal sheets to advance the medium-sized battleship? Yes. Qin Tian nodded. Wait until more than an hour later. The golden light dissipated. The battleship was successfully upgraded to a large size. Qin Tian came to the deck full of excitement, seeing that the entire battleship expanded 2 or 3 times. The entire battleship glowed with a thick metallic luster. Like a battleship fortress at sea, indestructible. In the studio, everyone who saw this scene was overwhelmed. Finally upgraded to advanced battleship. In 3.5 months, it has caught up with the 3-year state of those top god chosen in World of Warships. This achievement is really terrible. And Qin Tian sighed. After wandering around the battleship on the deck, with a thought, Qin Tian opened the attribute panel of the battleship. He needs to know how much material he needs to break through the aircraft carrier. Name. Large battleship nameable. Displacement. 81,600 tons. ER 298.3 times 35.3 times 18.8. Health volume. 56,850. 59861-64147. Defense. 2,500. Strengthened fire control system. Power system. UQD 3,100 gas turbine times 4. Speed. 28 plus 5 knots. Weapon system. Double AK 130mm naval gun Orange X1, Genesis Class Triple-Mounted Mk 406mm Main Naval Gun, Legendary Class Triple-Mounted Mk 406mm Main Naval Gun Orange Genesis Class Mk 73-203mm Naval Gun Colorful 406mm Twin Main Guns Green X6, Twin 380mm High-Level Dual-Purpose Guns Green X16, Mythical Y11 30 Close in Defense Guns X20, Genesis Class Dual 57mm Naval Guns Colorful ×1, Mythology Class 52 122mm Rocket Launcher Red ×2, Mythology Class Y15 Anti-Ship Missile. Fire Control Radar Orange. Strengthen the missile device. Enhance the radar system. Enhanced torpedo system. Ordinary advancement. 2.3 million low-quality wood, 2.5 million low-quality plastic, 1.6 million low-quality nails, 2 million low-quality metal sheets, can be advanced into a small aircraft carrier common. High-quality goods advanced. Ordinary wood 2.1 million, ordinary plastic 2.3 million, ordinary nails 1.5 million, ordinary metal sheet 1.8 million, can be advanced into a small aircraft carrier excellent. Advanced advancement. 3.1 million high-quality wood, 3.3 million and 300,000 high-quality plastics, 2.6 million high-quality nails, 2.8 million high-quality metal sheets, can be advanced into a small aircraft carrier extreme. Originally, when Qin Tian saw that the displacement of the battleship had reached more than 80,000 tons, he was secretly pleasantly surprised. But behind him, he saw the string of zeros that dazzled him. Hiss. After seeing clearly the materials needed to break through the aircraft carrier, Qin Tian, who was surprised by the displacement of a large battleship, almost gave up. What kind of fairy consumption is this? Break through a carrier's supplies. I'm afraid not all of them can match the supplies of those big capitalists breaking through 2 or 3 aircraft carriers. And the God-level treasure island Cecily mentioned does not know when it will open. If the God-level treasure island is opened in advance, and he doesn't have enough materials to break through the aircraft carrier, then wouldn't he have to lose 0.5 to Grandma's house? Think here. An idea popped up in Qin Tian's heart involuntarily. We have to make money. Captain, is this our large battleship? And at this moment, Li Yao, who stayed on the deck all the time, came over with Zhang Zhengyi and Yan Bin. Seeing Qin Tian asked in amazement, Captain, isn't our battleship too big? Why do I feel like this is almost 300 meters? Zhang Zhengyi also couldn't help asking. Yes, this is the super battleship we will live with for a long time, with a length of 298 meters. Hearing the questioning between Li Yao and Zhang Zhengyi, Qin Tian replied with a smile. What? 298 meters. Hearing Qin Tian's words, Zhang Zhengyi's and Yan Bin's mouths immediately formed an O shape. A battleship of nearly 300 meters. This is simply unheard of. 52%. Chapter 262 Gatling Heavy Machine Gun, Mobilization on the Eve of the Dungeon. If the size is tens of meters larger, wouldn't that be enough to catch up with an aircraft carrier? And Qin Tian didn't care about the shock of the two of them. He said directly to Li Yao, Captain Li, I still have a blueprint of a Gatling heavy machine gun in my hand. Where do you think we should install this weapon? When Li Yao heard about the Gatling machine gun, those eyes lit up immediately. After hearing Qin Tian ask her questions, she glanced back and forth. Then he stretched out his slender white jade fingers, pointed to the top of the shipbuilding and said, Captain, why not install it on that? It's condescending and has a wide field of vision, just that Gatling heavy machine gun. At least 2/3 of the defense line on one side can be held. Quote. Qin Tian smiled upon hearing this. The other party's idea coincided with his. He nodded immediately and said, yes, then install it there. Finished. Qin Tian took out the advanced GA-8 20,173mm 7-barrel Gatling heavy machine gun blueprint, the size was wrongly written before, from his pocket and walked towards the shipbuilding. Behind Li Yao followed quickly with 2 little followers. Qin Tian came to the boat tower. After discussing with Li Yao, it was decided to install the Gatling machine gun 06 in a slippery position. In this way, the scope and vision of the enemy can be guaranteed to the greatest extent. Choose a good place. Qin Tian held the blueprint. As soon as the mind moved, he used the divine detective technique to investigate. Item. Blueprint of advanced GA-8 20,173mm 7-barreled Gatling machine gun. Quality. Blue. Production requirements. Low-quality plastic 1000, low-quality metal sheet 3000, low-quality nails 1000, see animal teeth 30. Efficacy. It can be used to make advanced GA8 Type 20,173mm 7-barreled Gatling heavy machine gun. Ordinary advancement. Low-quality plastic 2000, low-quality metal sheet 5000, low-quality nails 3000, sea beast teeth 50, can be advanced to purple poetry intermediate advanced GA. 20,173mm 20-barrel Gatling heavy machine gunner. Premium advances. Ordinary plastic 3000, ordinary metal sheet 4000, ordinary nails 3000, elite sea beast teeth 50, can be advanced into orange legendary advanced GA8 Type 20,173mm 7-barreled Gatling heavy machine gun. Advanced advancement. 4000 high-quality plastics, 3000 high-quality metal sheets, 2000 high-quality nails, 20 top-quality sea beast teeth, which can be advanced to red mythical advanced GA8 Type 20,173mm 7-barreled Gatling heavy machine gun advanced step. Qin Tian chose advanced without any hesitation. Just to explore the copy of the Sea of Death tomorrow. You can increase the battleship's combat power as much as you can today. Manufacturing the mythical advanced GA8 Type 20,173mm 7-barreled Gatling heavy machine gun requires 4,000 high-quality plastics, 3,000 high-quality metal sheets, 2,000 high-quality nails, and 50 top-quality sea beast teeth. Do you want to manufacture them? Yes. With the disappearance of drawings and materials. I saw a Gatling heavy machine gun with a bracket appearing in an open space next to the shipbuilding. There is also a large ammunition supply box with a height of half a person beside it. A long bullet chain extended from the large ammunition supply box, and was connected to the Gatling heavy machine gun. Such an appearance full of violent aesthetics directly fascinated Li Yao so much that she couldn't find her way. So handsome. Captain, can I use it for test firing? Li Yao walked to Qin Tian's side in a few steps. Looking at Qin Tian with very expectant eyes, he asked. Okay. Just let me see the rate of fire of this Gatling heavy machine gun. Qin Tian has everything he can do. Directly sideways to get out of the way and said. Li Yao stepped forward excitedly upon hearing this. Then grab the handle with both hands, turn on the ignition, and then aim at the open sea outside and press the shooting button. I saw 720mm barrels in a circle start to idle. With the barrel a certain RPM was reached after a second or two. Crazy flames spewed out from the mouths of the 7 barrels. A large number of bullet casings fell down like running water. After shooting for tens of seconds, Li Yao then stopped moving. Then he said to Qin Tian, "It's so cool, Captain, with this big killer weapon, there will hardly be any problems on this side. Even if the enemy comes up with hundreds of people at a time, I'm afraid they won't be able to withstand this treasure. Clean up. Yes, in this way, we will have more confidence in dealing with the gang-jumping battle." Qin Tian nodded very satisfied and said. At the same time, he also used divine detective technique to detect the heavy machine gun in front of him. Item. Mythical Advanced GA8 20,173mm 7-barrel Gatling heavy machine gun. Quality. Red. X. 39. Effective range. 1,000 meters. Effective rate of fire. 4,000 rounds per minute. Durability. 3,000. Requirement. Every 500 units of high-quality metal pieces consumed can be launched for 1 minute. Introduction. Multiple barrels are arranged in a circle, relying on the shooter to move the handle to chase and fire a heavy firepower machine gun. With a high rate of fire and fierce firepower, it is a political weapon that daunts all living organisms. See this properties panel. Qin Tian was quite satisfied in his heart. After all, it is used to hit living things. This damage is already very good. Evening. Qin Tian replenished the ammunition bays of all warships. Everything is ready. 203. The next step is to welcome tomorrow's dungeon adventure. Evening at the dinner table. A group of people eat and drink enough. Qin Tian stood up and said to everyone at the dinner table, "Everyone, tomorrow's dungeon may be in great danger, so we must put away our previous pride and complacency, and be vigilant about our surroundings." Yes, Captain, we will definitely be careful. Yao Lang and the others looked serious and said in unison very solemnly. Qin Tian nodded, and then warned Li Yao and the other fighters, "I understand from others that the dungeon we are going to explore this time is called the Sea of Death. As the name suggests, the monsters inside are all dead. The dead bodies and skeletons, because they are the fault of the dead, do not have thermal imaging on them, and this requires us to always pay attention to the situation in the surrounding sea area, so as not to be approached by the other party swimming from the sea, and then cause us huge troubles." Quote. Okay, Captain, we will send people to observe and watch on the deck 24 hours a day. Li Yao nodded and said, okay, there's nothing else to do. You guys have a good night's rest. Tomorrow morning, or even morning, we should be close to our destination. Everyone said good night to Qin Tian. Soon there were only Yu Dai and Ma Yongganian left in the restaurant. 52%. Chapter 263. Arriving at the Sea of Death, the lighthouse navy was robbed by pirates. Qin Tian looked at the two of them. He said to them, starting tomorrow, I will work hard for you. The armament of the battleship needs to be inspected a lot. It is necessary to ensure that the durability of the armament of the battleship is not a problem. Hearing this, Yu Dai nodded and said, don't worry, Captain, where is this going? We have encountered more difficult and dangerous things than this on the warships we served in the past, and we have survived all of them, haven't we? Quote. That's right, Captain, not to mention that we still have plenty of drinking water and hearty meals every day. It is no exaggeration to say that for these two reasons alone, we will never let the battleship pay a little bit. It's dangerous. Ma Yongganian said very firmly beside him. Good. Qin Tian clapped his hands, and said very happily, many people say that the rewards of this dungeon are very generous. As long as we unite as one, believe me, we will definitely be able to make a lot of money in it and come out safely. Qin Tian nodded, and poured chicken soup for the two of them in a happy mood. Then he returned to his rest cabin to rest. The next day, Qin Tian woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Didn't even have time to go to the restaurant. After washing up, he went straight to the control room. Yao Lang, Wei Chen and Ma Fei were controlling the battleship. Zula, Chu Hongbao and Dongla were not there. Captain. See Qin Tian come in. The three of Yao Lang immediately greeted each other. Qin Tian nodded and asked, how is it? How far is it from the destination? Yao Lang replied, it's less than an hour away. Qin Tian nodded upon hearing this. Then he said, did Lao Yu make breakfast? When it's done, take advantage of the time to go down and eat something quickly. If there is an emergency inside, you probably won't be able to eat on time. At Qin Tian's request, several people took turns to go to the restaurant to fill their stomachs. When everyone has eaten and drank enough, they return to their respective posts. They have also come to a place not far from their destination. Li Yao and Rui led others to stand on the deck. Be careful to prevent being attacked by the enemy jumping over. Just with the constant sailing, they were quickly shocked by a scene that appeared in front of them. The eyes are extremely wide open. It was as if he had seen an incredible scene. Including in the control room, Qin Tian couldn't help swallowing hard when he saw the terrifying scene. I saw the end of the sea ahead. A huge green fluorescent ball with a diameter of at least 100 or 200 kilometers appeared. The giant ball is half in the water. The other half covers the sea area like a dome. Of course, these are not the most frightening and shocking. What frightens and astonishes people the most is that at the junction of the giant ball and the sea, there is a downhill design channel on both sides every 10 nautical miles. The extended entrance was actually constructed from countless corpses. After Yao Ming's scanning and zooming in, it can be seen from the image. Those twisted and stacked corpses not only include human corpses, but also the corpses of many Zurians and other creatures. It may be because it has been sinking in the sea before. The corpses hadn't been dried by the wind and the sun. Instead, his skin was pale and his body was swollen after being soaked in seawater. Qin Tian looked around. A sphere with a diameter of hundreds of kilometers. There is one such entrance every 10 kilometers. And Qin Tian can be sure. This dungeon never appeared in World of Warships in the previous world. Otherwise, such a distinctive appearance seen. It's impossible for other people not to talk about it in World of Warships. Of course, there is another possibility. That is, the copy of the previous life was monopolized by the Moore family. Put an end to the approach of other ordinary gods chosen. Qin Tian thought for a while and felt that this possibility was not small. After all, if Dick hadn't fallen out with the Moore family, the coordinates of this dungeon would have been revealed before the Moore family had fully explored and occupied the dungeon. It is estimated that it is impossible for ordinary god chosen to have the opportunity to discover this copy. But now the second fleet of the Moore family is completely wiped out, the third fleet is developing and exploring inside, and the remaining fleet is guarding the family. This made it impossible for them to block and hide this copy in a short time. Give those ordinary god chosen a chance. Just follow the radar scan. Qin Tian and the others also found out. Hundreds of warships are displayed outside those entrances. As far as the eye can see, there seemed to be a warship waiting at each entrance. Over time, you can see whether it is a battleship that is going out or a battleship that is going in. Just approach them honestly. Seems like a deal was made with them. You can go in and out smoothly. And those tough-headed ones who dare to shoot at them, it will be sunk by hundreds of warships of the opponent in a few hits. Obviously, these fleets guarding various entrances are dedicated to robbery. Standard pirate mode. Qin Tian was dumbfounded seeing this scene. What's the situation? Someone dared to do this kind of thing outside the dungeon. Aren't you afraid of being mobbed and attacked? Think here. With a thought, he opened the world chat channel. Turned up and down. Sure enough, I saw some speeches on this matter above. Fake. The virgin pirates, are you crazy? How dare you stand outside the sea of death and plunder? Aren't you afraid that all of us God's chosen will go out and fight with you? Shiete, virgin pirates, wait until we have more people gathered before starting a fight. What kind of men are a group of people bullying our warships? Damn it, virgin pirates, you guys are sick. I was just going to go in, and I haven't even explored the dungeon yet, so you stop me from robbing. Is your brain missing a string? Look at these chats. Qin Tian couldn't help frowning slightly. What the hell? Those at the entrance are actually virgin pirates. A top pirate group that rose rapidly a year later. It seems that this pirate team is still in the development stage at this moment. But I have to say that the other party knows how to do business, and actually set the waypoint at the entrance and exit of the copy. This trick is really a bit too damaging. And at this moment, Qin Tian suddenly saw a few rays of light flashing towards an entrance on their side. Lee's then a cruiser with the flag of the Lighthouse Empire swaggered out with 5 destroyers. While driving, he turned on the loudspeaker and shouted, backquote, "We are members of the Lighthouse Military Department. There is an urgent task to deal with. I now order you to give me 10 roads immediately." Ha ha ha, the military headquarters of the Lighthouse Empire. However, after hearing the call from the cruiser, it was all over. Far from showing fear, those virgin pirates. Instead, he also turned on the loudspeaker, and a very messy and presumptuous laugh came from it. It really scared me to death. Is the military department of the Lighthouse Empire awesome? To tell you the truth, I have killed not 1,000 but 800 God-chosen of your Beacon Empire army, and this time it will not be easy for any of you to come. Looking at your appearance, this is a big harvest from the dungeon. Hand over 1 million units of supplies and 5 random blueprints, and we will let you leave safely. A group of virgin pirates were so rampant that they aimed all their guns at the 6 Lighthouse Navy warships. 52%. Chapter 264. Welcome in line, the kindness of the virgin pirates. FK, do you bloody pirates know what you're doing? You are playing with fire and angered us. We directly sent a full fleet to hunt down your pirate organization and removed it from World of Warships. Do you believe it or not? The warships of the Lighthouse Navy obviously couldn't accept that they had always been domineering, but today they were stopped by a group of pirates at the entrance of the dungeon to block the way and rob them. So it's still going on and on. To this, Qin Tian snorted with a sneer. This is really interesting. A dog bites a dog. The virgin pirates later became famous for their boldness and cruelty. The 6 lighthouses of the Imperial Navy, who can't see the situation clearly, are threatening each other, and they are constantly showing their superiority. Obviously it will irritate the other party, and then be ruthlessly punched by the other party. And it is true. I only heard an angry roar suddenly sounded in the Virgin Fleet. The shit Lighthouse Navy, dare to threaten me. Brothers, kill me, kill them, so that these sons of bitches know that we virgin pirates are not frightened. Boom boom boom. Shish. With this rough growl the order was given. The battleships of the Virgin Pirates fleet immediately poured terrifying artillery fire and 360 missiles at the 6 Lighthouse naval battleships. The chosen ones of the 6 Lighthouse Navy are obviously not fools either. Although arrogant, but they are not so proud as to be foolish. Has been guarding against the attack of the Virgin Pirates on the opposite side. Seeing the other party now, they really dare to shoot at them. Immediately the Lighthouse Navy yelled over the loudspeakers, "Stop, we're willing to make a deal." Ha ha ha, what's the matter? Are you scared? Aren't you crazy just now? You son of a bitch, if you want to surrender now, it's too late. Laughing wildly with the rough voice. The Virgin Fleet's offensive suddenly became sharper and more violent. And the 6 warships of the Lighthouse Navy actually rejected their reconciliation when they saw each other. Also broke out in despair. For a while, the 2 sides continued to bombard you as you came and went. It's just that the battleships of these unknown soldiers with mediocre combat power are naturally hard to beat with 2 fists. It was soon sunk to the bottom of the sea by the Virgin Pirates fleet. Captain, shall we open fire? In front of the center console. Yao Lang, who saw this scene, asked Qin Tian. He and Ma Fei have already activated the fire control system. Just waiting for Qin Tian's order. Immediately can destroy the opponent all. Agek. Qin Tian thought for a while. Facing Wei Chen, he said, Ah Chen, play your flute for a while and see how they react. Then he said to Yao Lang, I'll go outside to have a look. If they don't give way to us, then you can just open fire and put them out. Yes, Captain. The 3 nodded immediately, and Qin Tian stepped out. It's not that Qin Tian is kind. It just feels like someone just wiped out the navy of the Lighthouse Empire. I will launch an attack on others. It's as if the catch-up is trying to avenge the Lighthouse Navy. And there is no conflict of interest. There is absolutely no need for a fight to break out. Qin Tian walked out of the control room. As soon as he came out, he saw Li Yao standing in front of the Gatling machine gun. After nodding towards the other party, he came to the bow of the deck. I saw that my captain was already in place. Wei Chen immediately pressed the whistle. The melodious sound sounded. It immediately attracted the attention of all the Virgin pirates blocking the entrance. Oh my God, what is this? An aircraft carrier. Fool, there are no planes on the deck of your aircraft carrier, all naval guns. By gods, I've never seen such a big battleship. I'm afraid this battleship has to be 300 meters long. Boss, shall we make a move? This is definitely a fat sheep. It has sunk the opponent. Boss, your large cruiser may be able to break through into a battleship immediately. In the megaphone, many virgins made admiration and greedy voices. Shut up all of you. Damn it, if you want to die, don't implicate Lao Su, just move the boat away for Lao Su, and let the passage in the middle come out. The leader of the Virgin Pirates scolded harshly. He had seen Qin Tian speak in the chat channel. Therefore, he recognized the figure in the radar imaging at a glance. Although all Virgin subordinates were puzzled, but still obediently obey. Soon a path was cleared in the middle. When other people's battleships come over later, come out of the control room for me, and show me the kindest and most humble smiles. If anyone makes that Yanlong person unhappy, don't blame him. I turn my face and deny anyone. The leader of the Vikings spoke in a low voice through a loudspeaker. Yanlong people, oh my God, gods above, boss, you don't mean that this battleship belongs to the Qin Tian of Yanlong Empire, right? What? That Qin Tian who single-handedly destroyed the Manston family? Nonsense, are you blind? Can't see the other party standing on the deck right now. Remember, when the other party's battleship is approaching, I'll go out and show the most friendly side to me. Following the voice of the Virgin leader, it fell. The rest of the Virgins were all shocked. They didn't expect that they would encounter this legend who had become the #1 person in the world of warships in just 4 months. The legendary chosen one of the Yanlong Empire, Qin Tian. This battleship Yamato was able to kill the Sakura Empire as a destroyer. Later, with the continuous evolution of the battleship. Even more so, killing battleships and aircraft carriers is as easy as eating and drinking. They can destroy even a capital fleet of 2,000 or 3,000 people. Not to mention their rabble. Seeing that the opponent's battleship is getting closer and closer. The invincible Virgin pirates who were still rampant just now left the control room one after another, and then stared at the slowly approaching battleship with their teeth bared. He showed what he thought was the kindest smile in his life. Then in Qin Tian's live broadcast room, everyone saw that the invincible Virgin pirates who were still rampant just now, after seeing Qin Tian's battleship, they lined up their battleships to both sides one after another. As Qin Tian's battleship got closer and closer, those Virgin pirates even came out of the control room. All of them paid attention to Qin Tian on the bow deck. It was pitch black, and I didn't know how long it had been since I washed my face. All of them had smiles that could scare a child to tears. Do your best to express your kindness. And on deck, Qin Tian was almost defeated by Lei when he saw this scene. Facing the bright smiling faces on both sides, the corners of his mouth twitched and simply moved upwards. It can be regarded as accepting their kindness. Then in the amazement of this Virgin Vikings, Qin Tian, a nearly 300-meter-long super battleship, passed between them. After seeing the gun barrels above, densely covered with missile silos and rocket launchers, as well as the terrifying near-defense guns on both sides, all the Virgin pirates were shocked and shivered down their spines. There was faint cold sweat oozing from his forehead. Fortunately, their boss is wise. Stopped them in time. Otherwise, what happened to the 6 Lighthouse Imperial Navy just now? It might be where they belong now. 52%. Chapter 265 The Terrifying Sea of Death. The battleship radar is out of order. From Qin Tian's battleship. Inexplicably, they could feel an aura that made their hearts tremble. That is the terrifying murderous aura that can only be condensed after killing thousands of warships. And this scene also stunned the audience in the live broadcast room. I knock. Qin Shen's power is really too strong. Haha, God Qin is mighty. Those pirates don't even look down on the Lighthouse Empire, but when they face me, God Qin, the humble and flattering smiles on their faces are getting brighter and brighter. 1. Nonsense, can it not be brilliant? Faced with the pursuit of the Lighthouse Empire Navy, they can still escape, but at that distance and in that situation, if God Qin is angered, God Qin can't kill them thousands of times every minute. Anyway, Qin Shenyu's approval is over. No matter how lively the studio is. But at this moment, Qin Tian's battleships are after those virgin pirates are overwhelmed. But soon came downhill to the entrance built by countless corpses. It's getting closer. It can even be seen that a viscous green liquid is continuously dripping from those corpse heaps. But fortunately, these corpses did not smell of decay. It didn't cause too much discomfort to everyone. As the battleship quickly drove downhill into the entrance of the corpse structure, Qin Tian soon saw the light from the entrance of the copy a few meters away. Without any hesitation, he gestured for Wei Chen to sail in the direction of the entrance portal. Wei Chen understood. The battleship quickly sailed past. Then a ray of light flashed by. They disappeared in place along with the battleship. After the sense of weightlessness and trance, everyone came back to their senses. Everyone could not help but frown and feel depressed at the sight they saw. I saw that the seawater in this sea area is all black in color. The only source of light was the full moon hanging overhead. It exudes a cold and pale light. The reason why everyone frowns and depresses. Because of the deep black sea. Scattered here and there are some tattered and stained wreckage of warships that have been attacked. It is not difficult to see from the appearance that they are all star warships. Some are only half of the hull. It's already more than a kilometer long. But it is full of large holes bombed by lasers or missiles. And some warship wrecks were left with only a charred and deformed frame due to the violent explosion. Of course these are nothing. What really moved them was the few or even dozens of dead bodies in the Black Sea that would surge up with the waves from time to time. They didn't know what kind of pain they had endured before they died. The facial expression looked extremely distorted. It makes people shudder all over at the first glance. Look at the entire sea. Roll with the waves. Layers upon layers of densely packed corpses follow the waves, pushing and shoving towards the direction of their battleship. It's like an evil spirit breaking free from hell. Want to climb aboard their battleship and claim their lives. Such a terrifying sight. No wonder it is called the Sea of Death, and it is indeed worthy of the name. Captain, what shall we do next? Will there be any problems with these corpses? And at this moment, Li Yao stood on the boat tower and asked Qin Tian loudly. Qin Tian stood at the bow of the ship, looking at the densely packed corpses below. After thinking for a while, he said loudly to Li Yao, "Tell Wei Chen to choose a direction to sail. It's best not to stop the battleship. Everyone is ready to fight at any time." Yes, hear him. Yan Jian and other combatants responded one after another. One by one holding the hot weapons in their hands. He watched every move on the sea with serious eyes. And as the battleship continued to move forward, Qin Tian stood on the deck, and it didn't take long for him to notice the flickering fire in front of him. I haven't waited for him to take a closer look. Yao Ming's anxious voice sounded from the direction of the boat building. Captain, there is a situation. Qin Tian was taken aback when he heard this. Seeing that the other party's brows are full of solemnity and bewilderment. He couldn't care less about anything else. Quickly walked to the location of the shipbuilding. Once in the control room, seeing that Yao Lang said with a serious expression, "Captain, there is something wrong with our radar." Qin Tian was taken aback when he heard that. What's wrong with fidelity? No. Yao Lang shook his head, reorganized his language and said, "To be precise, this sea area interfered with the radar detection, so our radar failed. Captain, come and see." Talking, he brought Qin Tian to the radar screen of the center console. Yao Lang pointed to the battleships outside the window where the red gunfire and the blue gunfire were hitting back and forth. Then he pointed to the detection radar screen, and said to Qin Tian speechlessly, Captain, look, there are battleships fighting in front of us, but there is nothing on the radar screen. 0. Seeking flowers. Qin Tian heard the words and took a closer look. Really? Obviously, there are several warships fighting back and forth more than 10 kilometers away. But there was no response on the radar detector. Captain, I suspect that there is some kind of power in this sea area that can block our radar detection, and the problems we will face next may be very troublesome. Yao Lang looked at Qin Tian and said, including Wei Chen and Ma Fei frowned solemnly. No radar detection. Then they would lose their eyes and ears. Even if the enemy lays a net in front of him. Then they will dive in without realizing it. This will undoubtedly put them in a super troublesome passive. It's okay, don't panic. Qin Tian appeases several people. Then, with a thought, he opened the plain map of divine detective technique. Since the radar of the battleship is out of order, let's see if there is anything wrong with his skills. With the flat map open, I saw it not far in front of the image of his battleship. There are 5 red battleships confronting 3 blue battleships face to face. It is undoubtedly the icons of the battleships in front of them that are fighting fiercely. And look at the situation within 30 nautical miles around. Although there are not many such red and blue battleship icons. But there are also 5. 3 of them are blue battleship icons. Although Qin Tian is not sure about the difference between the red and blue warships. But after thinking about it for a while, he had some guesses. Achin, drive the boat over, Alang Xiaofei, you are ready to attack at any time. In order to verify what I thought, Qin Tian decided to go and have a look. He immediately gave orders to the 3 of them. Okay, Long. The 3 nodded. Following Wei Chen's control of the battleship, he approached the battlefield. The situation of the warships of both sides soon appeared in the eyes of Qin Tian and the others. Sure enough, it was exactly as Qin Tian thought. Blue battleships are represented on the flat map. The image displayed in front of his eyes was a dilapidated, weird warship repaired and built by countless broken copper and iron. It looks abnormal at first glance. And the battleship representing red is completely the normal battleship of the Chosen One. 53%. Chapter 266 The Weird and Evil Corruptor Battleship. It's just that when Wei Chen controlled the battleship and rushed over. In the battlefield, there were only 2 battleships of the Chosen One, which originally had a numerical advantage. 3 other battleships had already been defeated. The hull is slowly sinking with thick smoke. As for the warship full of weird and abstract atmosphere, only 1 sank. Hiss. It's just that when everyone's eyes passed over the battleships of the remaining gods chosen and stopped at the 2 blue battleships displayed on the plain map. Everyone including Qin Tian couldn't help but gasped. What kind of battleship is this? I saw that the appearance of the warship, which should have been steel and iron, was changed by those 2 warships into a visual feast of human organs. All kinds of hands, feet, and internal organs are covered on the hull of the battleship. On the position of the head portrait hangs a multi-headed monster made of several heads spliced together. As for the ship, 027, building and naval guns. It is densely packed with a layer of flesh and blood tissue. Like a creeper, most of the battleships have already been attached. The reason why Qin Tian and the others gasped. It's because the heads on the head of the ship don't seem to be dead. They all opened their eyes, looking around with distorted faces. Legs, hands, feet, and various organs extending from their necks to the sides of the ship. They are also constantly moving with their teeth and claws as their heads swing. The naval guns and anti-ship missiles of the 2 god-chosen warships on the opposite side hit the hull every time. A large piece of fleshy tissue and residual limbs will be bombarded on those fleshy coatings. And it will cause those skull figures to scream and wail in pain. Then those hands, feet and flesh and blood on the ship seemed to be alive. 1 or 2 bodies were continuously fished out of the sea. It was so violently torn apart directly. Then quickly move the broken limbs, broken arms, and internal organs and flesh covered with viscous liquid to the place under attack. Damaged spots will be refilled shortly. The human head will be moved to the figurehead. Become a new member in it. Such a terrifying scene. Naturally, it caused super discomfort to several people. As for the live broadcast room, some people with shallow stomachs ran to the bathroom and vomited after seeing this scene. Holy shit, Banana is a bara, what kind of perverted painting is this? Just that scene, I have seen my wife spit it out twice. One thing to say, this shape can be called a magic weapon for eating. After seeing it, I have a big appetite. I just ate 3 steamed buns soaked in boiled water. Hiss, the upstairs is really perverted, can you eat this? Water Fark, don't you guys find something unusual about this dungeon? What is unusual? It stands to reason that the dungeons produced by World of Warships will be related to what happened in the previous era, just like the quest of the Zor people in the Novice Sea area and the dungeon task of the Forgotten Treasure, all of which are creatures that existed in the previous era. Battleship. I'll go. What do you want to express upstairs? I still don't understand. According to the above, then, this Sea of Death, it really happened in the last era. Oh, Shiete, don't scare me. What kind of civilization can come up with such perverted and disgusting creations? Biohazard, or chaos erosion. At this time, in the copy of the Sea of Death in World of Warships, Ma Fei also swallowed hard. Looking at Qin Tian, he asked with some trepidation, Captain, are the limbs and flesh and blood on these two warships invaded and corroded by those corpses in the sea? Our battleships wouldn't it also suffer from such erosion? Ma Fei said with some worry. He was frightened by the new livery of the two warships. So many years of working in the sea. He had never seen such a weird thing. And Qin Tian, after hearing his words, it was also a thought. Directly used the detective technique on the two distorted warships. Corrupted Elite Destroyer. 39,432 52 thousandths. Note. It comes with a corrosive aura, which can restore 45% of its blood volume by absorbing corpses in the sea when it is damaged. Corroded Ordinary Cruiser. M. 21,932 35 thousandths. Note. When the self-corrosion aura is damaged, 25% of the Blood Emperor can be recovered by absorbing the body of the sea. See the names of the two corroded and distorted battleships and the labels behind them. Qin Tian's eyes could not help but narrow slightly. Is it really a corroded battleship? So this means that these warships were all warships of the Chosen One before. So how are they corrupted? Captain, look quickly. And just when Qin Tian was thinking about this matter in a daze. But he heard Yao Lang exclaim in surprise. Qin Tian subconsciously looked in the direction of his finger. I saw the three battleships of the Chosen who were defeated just now and were sinking with thick smoke. At this moment, they seemed to be supported by something, and slowly floated up from the sea. When those three warships that had escaped death reappeared in the field of vision of Qin Tian and others, almost everyone's pupils shrank violently. Because at this moment, the three warships of God's Chosen were the same as the two corroded battleships opposite them. The top and bottom of the ship are covered with broken limbs and those disgusting creeper-like flesh and blood tissues. Full of evil, twisted and corrosive atmosphere. After a long time, it turns out that these disgusting warships come from this way. As long as they are sunk, they will be eroded and transformed by the stumps and broken arms in the sea. After seeing this scene, Ma Fei let out a long breath of relief. Immediately afterwards, he was full of blood and said excitedly, then don't be afraid, just these little shrimps, other battleships can't handle them, so our captain's super battleship is playing against them. Yao Lang and Wei Chen thought about it too. This copy may be very unfriendly to other warships. But for their captain, a battleship with strong firepower and extremely high blood volume, that's not a problem at all. And Qin Tian looked at the three original God's Chosen warships that immediately attacked the other two warships as soon as they were corroded. Seeing these corroded warships so hungry for the Chosen warships, 0.8 Qin Tian realized a lot for a while. Obviously, it is the same as the area where the Zarer people in the Novice Sea region lived. This sea area must also be an independent area from World of Warships. It's just that it shouldn't have any negative impact on the will of the planet. That's why it becomes a special area like a dungeon, which can be kept for a long time. God's Chosen are constantly plucking its wool in World of Warships, used to strengthen oneself. But then again, such evil and contagious energy. Which cosmic civilization left behind the masterpiece? Boom boom boom. It's just that Qin Tian hasn't thought about it yet. Joined by the three corroded warships, the last two remaining Chosen warships were quickly defeated. It began to explode and slowly sank into the Black Sea. 53%. Chapter 267. Let's send him the coordinates of a God-level treasure island directly. Seeing that even the last two battleships of God's Chosen were about to be corroded, Qin Tian immediately shouted to Yao Lang and Ma Fei, Alang, Xiao Fei, focus on the two corruptor battleships on the far right with all your strength. He just finished speaking. He has already used the talent skill, must hit. Launched 3 bursts of fire at the corrupted elite destroyer with the 3 main ship guns bundled together. Terrifying large caliber shells bombarded the flesh and blood ship. Scattered limbs and broken arms splashed all over the sky. At the same time, minus 3,515, minus 588, minus 218, minus 3,998, and a series of scarlet damage rose from the top of the opponent's battleship. This wave of damage hit a blood volume of almost 14,000. This made Qin Tian's brows wrinkle slightly. Have to say, these corroded battleships, the defense of the flesh and blood painting is really good. Usually Qin Tian uses this trick to hit other warships. The basic damage of the 3 naval guns plus the enhancement of the title attribute. Most of them can hit around 20,000 HP. Even luck, plus a few crits. It is not a problem to hit 20,000 to a few thousand blood. 06. But now against the defense of this flesh and blood painting. It turned out that only a little over 14,000 blood was shot. Not to mention the cut in half, the damage is not much worse. It's just that Qin Tian wasn't too worried. His must-hit 3 in a row is just a signal to start attacking. The real attack is yet to come. Really. As his skills just finished. Immediately afterwards. Under the control of Yao Lang and Ma Fei. All the naval guns, rocket launchers, and anti-ship missiles on the battleship roared and poured towards the 2 corroded evil battleships. After a wave of naval guns and some rockets. The most powerful is the Myth-class Y-15 anti-ship missile. One bombarded the hull, blasting a huge hole. Countless limbs and arms were splashed. One hit the evil-headed figurehead. With frightened and sharp desperate cries. The heads of the heads that had grown together exploded directly. Then the corrupted elite destroyer didn't even have a chance to react. The blood bar was emptied directly. Several bursts of flames erupted from the hull, and countless flesh and blood were blown out before sinking into the bottom of the sea. And at this moment, the corroded cruiser that reacted also led the other 3 newly assimilated warships to attack Qin Tian. But the damage dealt as the 3-digit values of minus 233 and minus 361. To Qin Tian, it was completely irrelevant. And at this moment, Qin Tian discovered that a blue high-level treasure chest burst out at the position of the corrupted elite destroyer just now. Qin Tian's eyes lit up when he saw this. It seems that this dungeon of the Sea of Death is a random treasure chest. If so, then this dungeon reward is indeed quite good. Afterwards, Qin Tian commanded Yao Lang and the others to sink the corroded cruiser and the newly corroded warship. As a result, nothing came out. Qin Tian was a little disappointed and asked Wei Chen to drive the battleship to the high-level treasure chest. Then it was salvaged. After opening it casually. He actually opened 10 sets of military uniforms that he bought in the trading market for the first time. I have to say, this reward is still pretty good. Nodding with satisfaction, Qin Tian then returned to the control room. Directed Wei Chen to start driving according to the route he proposed. And at this moment, on the island of the Moore family hundreds of nautical miles away, the top 5 family members started an emergency meeting again. Brothers, I just received a report from Carl, the God-favored person sent by the family, that Qin Tian has arrived in the waters of our Moore Island. Charles, who is the commander-in-chief of the Moore fleet, looked at the few people seated and said, "What, then Qin Tian really came?" Bob asked in surprise. "Yes, but he has already entered the copy of the Sea of Death, so I called you over, and I want to discuss with you that our attitude towards the Qin Tian is war." And, Charles looked around at several people and asked, "You say, if we send out all the warships of the family now, and the entrances and exits outside the Sea of Death dungeon are heavily guarded, can we get rid of Qin Tian?" Someone asked with a look of anticipation on his face. "Don't even think about it, Elvis." However, without waiting for others to speak, Charles took the lead in rejecting the opponent. There are hundreds of entrances to the Dead Sea. What you call sending heavy troops must be guarded by at least 1,000 warships at each entrance. Do you think this condition is possible? And Carl has already told me clearly, then Qin Tian's battleship has been upgraded to a large battleship, and we almost have no possibility of killing each other. What? Then Qin Tian's battleship has been upgraded to a large battleship. How long has it been? Is it a lie? Even Berg, who had always been advocating friendship with Qin Tian, couldn't help but exclaim at this moment. "Yes, Berg, I was also surprised when I first heard the news, but this is the fact, so your proposal was very correct at the beginning. We should not allow Dick to abuse his power without stopping it." Charles looked at his cousin and said with some shame, "Oh, it's too late to say anything now." Berg also said with regret from time to time, "Then what should we do now? The price we have paid is enough." Dick was forced by us to willingly degenerate into an NPC in the dungeon, and the second fleet was completely destroyed. Even the coordinates of the dungeon were destroyed by Dix. The damned guy announced it at the last moment. With so much price, isn't it enough to make up for the damage we did to that Chin Tian? Another young man asked Charles. What's more, the mastermind of all this is Dick. We just didn't stop it. Now Dick has paid a painful enough price. Isn't that enough? 293 inches. You think too simply, Jason. If the other party is relieved, they won't come all the way to us. Facing youth problems, Berg said with wisdom shining in his eyes. Jason, you have to understand that in the eyes of the other party, we are the ones who took the initiative to provoke the dispute. No matter what price we pay, but the other party has not benefited, then it's never over unless one of us dies. Charles said with a wry smile. I was still thinking of luck, thinking that what the other party said about knowing the location should be a scare. Who knew that the retribution would come so quickly? Then Chin Tian is probably worried that he will come here to show off his power first, and then we will dispatch the whole army, and then bring back the third fleet stationed in the copy of the Sea of Death, and give him a front and back attack. In that case, even if you try your best to escape, you will probably have to pay a lot of maintenance costs. Berg's mind was running rapidly to analyze, saying, after all, the opponent's battleship has been upgraded to a large battleship. If you want to break through the aircraft carrier, you will definitely need a lot more supplies. Since the opponent has no intention of fighting with us, there is much more room for manipulation here. Hear what my cousin said. Charles's eyes lit up slightly, and he hurriedly asked, Berg, what do you want to do? It's very simple. We gave him the coordinates of a god-level treasure island. Berg directly sent a private chat message to the 5 people present that was enough to shock them for 100 years. 53%. Chapter 268. Who said to send us? For the Lauder family. What? Are you kidding me? Berg, we got the coordinates of the god-level treasure island at a huge price. Charles sent a message to his cousin with some unacceptable words. He also knows the importance of this matter to the family. So I only dare to say it in the form of sending a message. Who said we would contribute ours? See the message back from Charles. Berg gave his brother a strange look. Then send a message. We can tell Chin Tian the coordinates of the god-level treasure island of the Lot family that we accidentally discovered. Hiss. When I saw this message from my cousin, the corner of Charles's mouth couldn't help twitching violently. Good guy. My cousin's heart is really dark enough. This is because when the Lot family sold them the coordinates of the god-level treasure island, they were still worried about the exorbitant price of supplies they had swindled. Now's your chance. This is to have revenge, and to give out all the grievances. Don't worry, brother, just leave this matter to me. Berg said happily with a confident smile on his lips. At this time, he was already thinking about Chin Tian occupying the god-level treasure island of the Luot family. What kind of speechless expressions would those senior members of the Lauder family have? However, he guessed that large-scale battles must be difficult to fight. After all, Chin Tian is too strong. As long as they are big capitalists, as long as their brains are not fooled. Right now, everyone must be thinking about how to warm up their relationship with Chin Tian. And since the Lot family dared to sell the coordinates of those god-level treasure islands, then they must have more than just the god-level treasure island in their hands. There are as few as 2 or 3 seats, and as many as 4 or 5 seats. It is estimated that for them, the last god-level treasure island will not affect anything at all. And Chin Tian, who didn't know about it. At this moment, they were already watching Yao Ming and Ma Fei control the firepower of the battleship. The third wave sank the single corruptor ordinary destroyer in front of him. The previous 2 waves did not get any rewards. He wanted to see how lucky this wave was. After finishing the fight, he found that there was still nothing. See, after returning without success again, Chin Tian looked at the blue battleships on the flat map and frowned involuntarily. Is this common corroded warship's explosion rate so low? But on a flat map, he looked at it for a long time and didn't see any difference between these corroded warships. Or is it that there is not much difference between these low-level warships encountered now? Only the corroded battleships of the leader class and king class will have obvious differences. He thought so. With a thought, the world chat channel was opened. I want to see if the chosen ones who came in have any experience. I'm going. This is too deceitful. I risked my life and spent a lot of effort to sink 3 corroded battleships alone. In the end, I didn't drop a single treasure chest. It depends on what level of corroded warships you kill. Generally, the chances of dropping ordinary corroded warships will be very small, unless you are the unlucky European emperor. Brother, you should be content, all you met were lone mobs. Although you didn't get anything, at least your life was fine. Our team encountered a corroded King-class destroyer. After our team wiped out the opponent, we were attacked by 2 King-class cruisers who were ambushing with a few King-class destroyers and a bunch of gangsters on 3 sides. If I didn't run fast, I probably have to confess there. Sigh, I don't know what kind of stupid setting this is. The radar is not functioning in it. Isn't that making those disgusting guys specialize in ambushes? They can't even defend against it. 1. Hee, brother, do you want to find a powerful enemy warship? Come to the coordinate area of 4x. I just saw a King-class battleship there, and there are more than 10 King-class cruisers and more than 30 King-class cruisers around it. This King-class destroyer, with its lineup and appearance, will make your legs weak when you see it. Come on, haven't you played games upstairs? Don't you know how to pull hatred? You can choose a King-class destroyer that is pulled aside to shoot it, and then pull it over to shoot at you, but you have to be careful of the corroding frigate they wander around. Although that guy has average firepower, the other party can pull all the nearby corroding warships to you. I'm going. Don't be ridiculous. I can't even fight ordinary corruptor destroyers, let alone fight elite and King-class warships. Isn't that a mouse licking a cat's nose to seek death? Qin Tian saw the following messages. Immediately happy. This is really dozing off, and someone will give you bones. He immediately said to Wei Chen, Chen, go to the coordinate area of 4x, there is likely to be a high-grade corruptor warship there. Yes, Captain. Wei Chen heard it, not long-winded. Immediately nodded yes. Then enter the coordinates and plan a route. Immediately, he manipulated the battleship to turn into an arc with a moderate angle. Sailing quickly towards the Black Corpse Sea in the distance. Sailing all the way for about 4 hours. During this time, 2 large objects exploded in the dungeon of Sea of Death. One is to kill a common frigate and a golden treasure chest pops out, and an orange quality 355mm large caliber naval gun is opened from it. The other is to kill the elite cruiser and explode a mythical treasure chest. A blueprint of the Myth-class anti-ship missile was drawn from it. These 2 big explosions can be said to have ignited the passion of countless gods chosen. In the World Chat channel for a while, there are as many God chosen who are clamoring to come to the Sea of Death dungeon for a try. Obviously not lightly stimulated, especially the Myth-class anti-ship missile. It was even paid a sky-high price by several capital tycoons. And Qin Tian sailed for 4 hours. Finally, some blue battleship icons that have become much larger appeared on the flat map in my mind. One of them is the largest. Good money. Good, the size is 3 to 4 times the size of other ordinary corruptor warships. Qin Tian guessed that this should be the King-class corruptor battleship that the Chosen One mentioned in the World Chat channel. The more than a dozen blue battleship icons that are twice as large should be those King-class cruisers. And until then, after careful observation, only then did Qin Tian notice that the Wang-class destroyer was slightly larger than ordinary warships. No wonder he had been looking for other features before but couldn't find them. If you don't look carefully, really can't find it. Okay, Chen, there's no need to go any further, just stop the battleship in this area and slowly sail around in circles. Seeing that the distance has almost entered the range of 30,000 meters. Qin Tian immediately gave Wei Chen an order. It's long. Wei Chen immediately turned the rudder when he heard this. In this area, the warship circled in an elliptical arc. 53%. Chapter 269 The Corrupted King-class cruiser. Qin Tian is on the flat map, watching the dozen or so battleships of the Chosen One surrounding the corruptor fleet thousands of meters away. Occasionally fire a few shots to hold down the aggro of a corroded destroyer or corroded frigate. After attracting the other party, then the 2 sides launched a life and death duel thousands of meters away from that fleet. But those who have the guts to come here to fight the corruptor battleship are gods chosen who are confident enough in their own strength. So in Qin Tian's observation, in the end, it is often the warships of those gods chosen who win. Only a very few 1 or 2 ships stopped the King-class destroyer or the god-chosen cruiser due to poor accuracy. In the end, he didn't even run. Sunk by a direct hit from a distance. Then it didn't take long to be assimilated into a new corrupted warship, driving the twisted battleship polluted by corruption to join the opponent's fleet. Qin Tian carefully observed for a while, after confirming that there is no problem. Only then did he set his sights on one of the icons that belonged to a King-class cruiser. Then, with a single thought, he locked on the opponent with the must-hit talent. then shoot straight away. Have to say, it's really cool to use the must-hit talent to pull monsters and attract hatred. Don't have to worry about missing it at all. With the sound of boom, cannons sounded one after another. Qin Tian saw on the plane map that the Wang 000 class cruiser locked by him rushed towards him quickly. Oh, what an idiot is this, who actually provoked a king-class cruiser. Xiete, this guy is finished. I struggled to fight a king-class destroyer with a cruiser. This person actually directly provoked his king-class cruiser. This guy is really brave, a typical gift. Is there a possibility that this dear friend misses the shot? Hee, if that's the case, then I can only mourn for this dear friend. It's no luck to hit those 10 king-class cruisers out of thousands of battleships. People who saw this scene. They chatted in the World Chat channel. And Qin Tian fixedly stared at the king-class cruiser that was sailing towards him on the plane map. Soon under the pale moonlight, a cruiser that was almost the same size as his large battleship appeared on the sea level. Boom, boom, boom. There was no communication or hesitation. The moment the two sides saw each other, the naval guns of both sides fired at the same time. Damn, I thought the corroded battleships I met before were disgusting and twisted enough, but compared with this cruiser, they are really nothing. As the distance gets closer, Yao Ming and the others also saw clearly the appearance of the opponent's huge king-class cruiser. Just one glance almost made them return their food. This king-class battleship, the reason why it can be so much larger than ordinary warships. It's all because the torsos and flesh and blood of the corpses covered on the opponent's ship are thicker. Even the human-headed figure at the bow of the ship is a lion head pattern composed of 20 or 30 heads. The densely packed dozens of pairs of eyeballs turned back and forth. From time to time, more than 20 mouths would utter wailings of pain or despair, which made people feel horrified. Of course, these are not technical and hard work. What really made Yao Lang's scalp tingle was, this king-class cruiser is not only covered with corpses and organs. Even the decks and towers are covered with these disgusting torsos. And these torsos seemed to be alive, constantly waving and shaking towards them. This scenario, for people with dense phobia, it was really an extreme torture. Anyway, Yao Lang and Ma Fei couldn't be bothered. FK, it's really disgusting. The two manned the battleship with full firepower. I can't wait to pour all the ammunition in the ammunition bay on the opponent's ship at the same time. But I have to say, this kind of strength far surpasses the corrupted king-class battleship of the elite class. If there are more torsos on a boat, that is the benefit of having more torsos. At least the speed and quantity of fishing out corpses from the sea and repairing damaged parts of battleships are not comparable to that of corroded elite destroyers. Although the blood volume is not, swish, upward ageg. But almost every 10 seconds or so, it will go back up a little bit. This caused the battle to be delayed a lot involuntarily. Qin Tian saw this scene. With a thought, he directly opened the opponent's attribute panel with Divine Detective Technique. Corroded King-class cruiser. M. 103,932 128,000ths. Note. It comes with a corrosive halo. When damaged, it can recover 55% of the damaged blood by absorbing corpses in the sea. The cooling time is 15 seconds. Looking at the comment that the blood volume of more than 120,000 is different from that in the back. Only then did Qin Tian put his heart back slightly. I'll just say it. If there is no cooling, it can restore 55% of the blood volume casually. Then he doesn't have to fight anymore. Just turn around and run. Total blood volume of 128,000. At that time, 55% was more than 70,000 blood. Even if he was exhausted, he couldn't beat him. Qin Tian watched the other party recover a wave of blood every 15 seconds. But his warship can only fall and never return. After 2 or 3 rounds, more than 6,000 blood was lost. I was upset for a while. He immediately walked out of the control room. Shouted to Rui below. Rui, go and control the dual 57mm naval guns. Hear Qin Tian's words. Rui knew what his captain meant. He made an okay gesture and didn't say much. He walked directly to the Genesis-class dual 57mm naval gun and sat on it. Then take over the adult manual operation. It doesn't matter whether you can beat the opponent or not. Anyway, aiming at the cruiser full of distortion and evil aura, he pressed the firing button. And as he entered the fighting state, the characteristic of increasing the combat power of the battleship on duty by 10% and recovering 10% of the blood volume of the battleship on duty every 30 seconds has exerted its effect. The blood volume of the battleship went back up a little. Hiss. Can it still work like this? Li Yao, who was standing on the ship tower with a Gatling-heavy machine gun, couldn't help opening her beautiful eyes to the maximum when she saw this scene. Then she took hold of the handle of the Gatling machine gun as well. She was aiming at the super disgusting battleship. They just followed suit and fired. Along with Li Yao's characteristics are also activated. The entire battleship was immediately surrounded by a translucent circular shield. Everyone saw the shells fired by the enemy make ripples on the shield. He fell powerlessly into the sea. See this scene. Qin Tian nodded in satisfaction. Then he went back to the control room and continued to command Yao Lang and Ma Fei to continue fighting towards the corrupted King-class cruiser. What the hell? Do you think you are the only one with the ability to restore blood? I also have it. As naval guns, rocket launchers and missiles bombarded the past. It can be seen in the countless water columns splashed there. The stumps and pieces of meat on the opponent's ship also exploded one after another. Splattered everywhere. 53%. Chapter 270. The copy of the Sea of Death is the burial ground of the Chengxing Empire. The scene of blood spattering can be said to be as disgusting as it is disgusting. Although this King-class cruiser is covered with more flesh and blood, stronger defense and stronger recovery ability. But it's a pity that what he met this time was Qin Tian, a man who has evolved every stage of the battleship to the extreme. So when the cruiser was still 5 or 6 kilometers away from Qin Tian's battleship, then Qin Tian emptied the last trace of blood with a set of must-hit 3 in a row. Then there was a sacrificial explosion. The blood and flesh sank to the bottom of the sea. Not for a while. A magnificent red treasure chest emerged. Finally a high-level treasure chest came out. Look at the mythical treasure chest. Qin Tian said to Wei Chen with bright eyes, Chen, drive the battleship over there. Clear. Wei Chen also nodded excitedly. Turning the rudder, he quickly rushed towards the mythical treasure chest. Having high-level treasure chests means that the strength of their warships may have to be improved again. And Qin Tian has come to the deck. With ease, he fished up the mythical treasure chest. Without any hesitation, he clutched the lid of the treasure chest. He directly opened it and chose to use it. Congratulations to the captain for obtaining the mythical fighter blueprint ×1. When seeing this award, Qin Tian's eyebrows could not help but go up. Mythical fighter blueprint. This good thing is a good thing. It's a pity that he doesn't seem to have many pilots now. Shaking his head, he put away the drawing. Qin Tian opened the map again. He set his sights on another corrupted King-class cruiser. Taking advantage of the fact that there are few people around, he thought he could get as many treasure boxes as he could. Judging from the chosen ones who posted their harvest in the World Chat channel, he found that it seemed that most of the treasure chests spawned from this dungeon were battleship weapons. This is for those gods chosen who are in the middle and upper reaches of the advanced level, but there is no battleship armament that can be used on the battleship. This dungeon is definitely a rare good place. No wonder the will of the planet will transform this place of death into a copy. Just as Qin Tian was preparing for a wave of must-hit 3 consecutive rounds, going forward to attract a corrupted King-class cruiser, he suddenly saw Rui, who was sitting on the seat of the Genesis-class dual 57mm naval gun not far away, staring at the sea outside in a daze. His heart moved. He walked over and said, Rui, what are you thinking about? Hear Qin Tian's inquiry. Rui came back to his senses, forced a smile and said, It's the captain. What's the matter? Is there any problem? Seeing the other party's distraught appearance, Qin Tian was suddenly curious, and said, I've been standing in front of you for a long time, what are you thinking about? This was the first time he had seen Rui in such a long time. Nothing. Just thought of something. Rui shook his head and said, Obviously don't want to say more. Qin Tian nodded and didn't bother to care about this insignificant issue. Immediately, he asked Rui directly, Rui, do you know what is going on in this Sea of Death dungeon? What kind of civilization's ability is such a terrifying corrosion ability? Why is there such a thing in this dungeon? So many corpses. Hear Qin Tian's questioning. Rui's expression froze, and his eyes were full of gloom. To the other party's expression, Qin Tian was stunned for a moment. Some do not know why. But then, Rui's words completely shocked him. Captain, it is the twin Sauron civilizations that cause this phenomenon. The endless corpses in the sea are actually the corpses of all the humans in the Chengxing Empire in the last era. Hiss. Quite Gao Rui's words. Qin Tian took a breath and asked, Rui, What do you mean to say that the will of the planet is to bury all the creatures of your Chengxing Empire in the last era into this sea of death, and then make copies for us future generations to upgrade? He couldn't believe it. Rui nodded heavily, and said, "It seems to be like this. I didn't notice these at first, but not long ago I took a closer look at the corpses in the sea on a whim. It turned out that the backs of the hands of those corpses all had patterns of a crescent moon and some stars. Only then did I understand that the people soaking in the sea were all humans from our Chengxing Empire. Because we are born with the marks of the moon and stars on the back of our hands." As he spoke, he showed the backs of his 2 hands. I saw that there was indeed a huge blue crescent mark and a dozen star marks of different sizes on it. Qin Tian heard the words and walked to the side of the boat. "Look into the sea." I saw that, driven by the waves, countless corpses kept rolling over. By the pale moonlight, from time to time, you can see that the backs of the hands of those corpses are indeed the same as Rui, with crescent moon imprints of different sizes and star imprints of different numbers. 0 seeking flowers. Seeing this scene, Qin Tian can confirm that these corpses in the sea are humans from the Chengxing Empire of the last era without a doubt. For a while, he didn't know what to say. The will of the planet is too ruthless. For an entire era, tens of billions of Chengxing Empire human bodies were made into a copy for their descendants to explore and upgrade. This approach is really a bit too ruthless. After all, the human beings of the Chengxing Empire followed the guidance of the Blue Stars will and fought bloody battles with several other civilizations in the universe without fear of death. They have defeated several powerful invading civilizations, collect massive resources for the will of the planet. But after the defeat and demise, it still ended up like this. 0. Especially when thinking about the violent methods used by those corruptor battleships to tear up corpses casually when repairing damaged parts. That scene was a bit too chilling. Don't say, Qin Tian. Even those watching in the real world in the live broadcast room couldn't help but criticize. "Oh, Xie Te, this is too sad and miserable. Didn't the human beings of the last era and the will of the planet mutually benefit each other and overcome countless difficulties together? How did they end up in such a fate in the end?" Yeah, it's really chilling that Planet Will's approach is true. You said that even the civilization of the Chengxing Empire, which has made great contributions, suffered this kind of treatment after its defeat. Then, will our civilizations with no fart contribution end up in a worse end than this after their destruction? Hey, you are thinking too much upstairs. We all understand why the will of the planet would do this. If our civilization hadn't developed too much rubbish, maybe the will of the planet would not have allowed this copy of the Chengxing Empire to appear. HMPH, what you said, tell me, what happened to the corruptor battleship there? When our chosen one went to explore, he was attacked by this twisted and evil corrupted battleship, which proves that the original there is this corruptor battleship. Just when the chat area in the live broadcast room was full of noise. On the battleship deck, Wei Chen took a deep breath and said, "Captain, it's okay, it's normal, I'm just a little sad for a while, it will be fine after a while." In fact, when our Chengxing Empire rose, it was also after going through this process that technology and economy began to take off rapidly. Quote, 54%. Chapter 271 Die Hard Rui. The Chengxing Empire also rose by absorbing the treasures left over from the previous civilization. This statement directly stunned Qin Tian, including everyone in the studio. Looking at Qin Tian's unbelievable look, Rui smiled lightly and said, "Actually, this is very normal. Just like the change of dynasties, no civilization can last forever unchanged. It's just that some civilizations have gone farther, and the treasures they left behind can provide great progress for later civilizations, so they are preserved. And some civilizations are not good, and the will of the planet will not waste energy on it, so those civilizations can only start from scratch, and rely on their own abilities to explore step by step. Just like it was before your civilization." Quote, hear Rui's words. Only then did Qin Tian suddenly understand and nodded. "So Captain, you don't have to feel guilty. It is actually a good thing that the will of the planet, 370, can preserve the crystallization of our civilization. This will strengthen the strength of you God's chosen and accelerate the strength of your civilization. And you also said, to put it bluntly, you were the spark of civilization that the planets will move from our world to the inner world. To put it bluntly, you are our descendants. If this is the case, then you should seize this opportunity to grow stronger own. Especially you, Captain. Your talent is something I have only seen in my life. Seize this opportunity to develop and grow well. In this way, maybe one day in the future, your civilization will far surpass ours in strength under your leadership. When the time comes, you will destroy the evil twin Sauron civilization and avenge us. This can be regarded as comforting the people of the Chenstar Empire who died tragically. 21. Hear Rui's words. Then look at the other person's eyes full of expectation and trust. Qin Tian patted the other party's shoulder immediately, and said in a firm tone, "Don't worry, as long as I become stronger and have the ability to destroy the nonsense twin Sauron civilization in the future, I will definitely destroy their planet to avenge you." Hearing Qin Tian's words, Rui said speechlessly, "Although I really hope that you will do this, Captain, under the influence of the rules of the universe, it is very difficult for our weapons to destroy a planet, even a planet with the smallest mass. Our weapons may have to fight for hundreds of years to wear out the opponent's blood. And for a planet like our blue star, which is both superior in mass and density, even with the technology of the twin Sauron civilization, even if 1,000 star destroyers are used to fight for 200 to 300 years, it may not be able to wipe out the blood of blue star." Hearing Rui's words, Qin Tian couldn't help gaining a deeper understanding of the laws of the universe. And what Qin Tian said was a bit whimsical, but the meaning expressed made Rui feel full of sincerity. Rui immediately said, very moved, "Captain, this sentence from you is enough. I, and Rui, will swear allegiance to you to the death, and clear all obstacles in your way." With this sentence of allegiance finished, the reminder of the will of the planet rang in Qin Tian's mind immediately. Ding! The loyalty of the crew has exceeded 100. Congratulations to the captain for getting a loyal crew member. Hear the voice of the will of the planet. Qin Tian patted Rui on the shoulder very happily, and said with a smile, "Ha ha ha, very good. I believe that with our joint efforts, the name of our battleship will one day be able to shock the entire universe and starry sky. I'm looking forward to that day," Rui said with a hint of longing on his face. "Okay, get ready, I'll pull another King-class cruiser over here. Since we want to grow stronger, let's work hard together." After greeting Rui, Qin Tian then returned to the control room, walked directly to the seat on the bridge and sat down. "Alang, Achin, Xiaofei, get ready, I plan to lure an enemy Wang-class destroyer over again," Qin Tian said to the three people. "Captain, don't worry, we promise to make it come and go." Yao Lang, Wei Chen and Ma Fei said in unison. "Very good." Qin Tian nodded in satisfaction. The floor map opens. After finding the icon of another corrupted King-class cruiser inside, lock on the opponent, and then it must hit 3 consecutive hits. Soon, the corruptor King-class cruiser with full hatred value broke away from the main force with full power. He rushed towards him quickly. "Oh, dear, why is this another corroded King-class cruiser running in that direction? Zyba, the previous ship didn't come back either. Which god's chosen one defeated one and then attracted another one? Oh, Xie Te, what are you kidding? I have been fighting a King-class destroyer for more than half an hour, but the King-class cruiser has a faster recovery speed, and it was wiped out so quickly. Is this true? Which boss came in? The one with this ability must at least be a battleship, right? And it must be a battleship that is not weak. Can it be the boss Reese or the goddess Cecily? Then who knows, maybe it's the Qin Tian from the Yanlong Empire." Around the corruptor fleet, someone was talking in the world chat channel, while looking at the direction that the King-class cruiser was leaving. Mimi quietly followed behind. Not long after that, an extremely large battleship appeared in front of those people. "Zyba, how can there be such a big battleship? Oh, I bought it. This battleship is too big. Even if it is not 300 meters, it is 289 meters. Looking at the appearance of the black-eyed and black-haired crew members on the deck, isn't this the battleship of Qin Tian from the Yanlong Empire?" Although these people dare not send messages in the world chat channel, worried about attracting the attention of the owner of the battleship. But it's okay to mutter a few words in your mouth. But what they don't know is, in the control room of the battleship at the moment, Qin Tian had already seen the every move of these 4 people through the plane map of divine detective technique. It's just that he doesn't care about these people. 1.0. Instead, he directed Yao Lang and Ma Fei to attack the corrupted King-class cruiser. No nonsense. Naval guns, rockets, and missiles launched attacks one after another. And at the same time, the corrupted King-class cruiser also started a fierce bombardment, and at the same time dozens of anti-ship missiles wrapped in flesh and blood were raised on the deck covered with stumps and broken arms. "Xiao Fei, set the proximity gun to automatic mode." See this scene. Qin Tian immediately gave orders to Ma Fei and said, He didn't want those disgusting anti-ship missiles to fall on his battleship. God knows whether those flesh and blood organizations will have any bad effects on his battleship after they explode on his ship. The automatic mode setting is complete. Ma Fei quickly replied after operating twice. 54%. Chapter 272. Want to pick peaches? Shoot directly. Ma Fei has just adjusted the mode of the near anti-cannon to automatic mode. The powerful roar of the mythical Y-1130 close-in anti-aircraft gun rang out outside. 20 Y-1130 close-in anti-aircraft guns intertwined bullet nets blocked the airspace within 3 kilometers into a restricted area for all flying objects. Those dozens of anti-ship missiles couldn't even break through the distance of 2,500 meters. They were all blasted into the air. Hey, I'm so embarrassed to play missile cruiser just for a while, I really don't know how to write the dead word. After Qin Tian despised the other party in his heart. Immediately, another wave of must-hit 3 consecutive rounds came to the opponent. Then he casually said to Yao Lang and Ma Fei, kill each other. In the future, he will no longer use the talent skill must-hit. After all, 4 somewhat powerful God's chosen warships were ambushed around them. In case they see something wrong after seeing the blood of the King-class cruiser later, then he must not be ready to grab the boss. No way. Money touches people's hearts. He had to guard against this. Yes, Captain, and heard Qin Tian's 06 order. After Yao Lang responded to Ma Fei, he quickly operated in front of the central control. The violent and ferocious firepower instantly dazzled and envied those gods chosen hidden around them. That's awesome. It's no wonder that this violent damage like a storm can so easily deal with a corrupted King-class cruiser. The blood recovered by the opponent every time is probably only worth a fraction of the damage Qin Tian caused to it. Continue like this. This corrupted King-class cruiser will become a residual blood in a short time. As expected, it only takes about 10 minutes. The King-class cruiser was beaten to pieces. Qin Tian used divine detective technique to investigate it. I saw that there were only a little over 20,000 of the original blood of more than 110,000. This scene naturally made those hidden gods chosen people excited and eager to move. If you can grab the last blow, explode treasure chests of mythical level and even creation level, then their strength will undergo an earth-shaking improvement. The only problem now is that they even managed to grab that final blow. And how to take away the treasure chest that exploded smoothly under Qin Tian's nose. After all, the damage of Qin Tian's warship equipment is too high. Just the blood volume of their battleship couldn't stand it a few times. As for teaming up with other god chosen, that's something you don't even have to think about. Now everyone wants to grab that final blow. Then take the treasure box by hand. How could someone willingly act as a green leaf and dedicate himself? Just follow their entanglement and hesitation. The corrupted King-class cruiser soon only had a blood volume of just over 10,000. This made the 4 god chosen even more anxious and angry. I don't know if I should take it or not. Boom boom. Boom boom boom. In the end, there were only more than 7,000 of the corroded King-class cruisers left. A cruiser and a destroyer fired uncontrollably. The cannon roared. Anti-ship missiles lift off. At the same time, they also let their crew members control the battleship to sail desperately towards the location of the corrupted King-class cruiser. As the so-called wealth are sought in insurance. In case this wave succeeds. Aren't they turning bicycles into motorcycles? Constantly daydreaming. But Qin Tian didn't give them this chance. Hey, these 2 guys are really brave. Don't take yourself as the party in the eyes at all. Are they impulsive? When I saw these 2 people were only 3 or 4 kilometers away from the King-class cruiser. Qin Tian snorted disdainfully. Directly use the talent skill must hit. The 3 main ship guns fired 24 shells 3 times in succession. Then when the corroded cruiser still had more than 4,000 HP. Empty its blood bar directly. After hitting it with a sinking effect, it quickly sank to the bottom of the sea. Then a few seconds passed. A mythical treasure chest emitting a magnificent red light floated up from the sea. Oh my god, it's really a mythical treasure chest. I hope that even if I don't make the final blow, I can successfully snatch the mythical treasure chest. The 2 faced each other and quickly approached the red mythical treasure chest. The chosen one of the cruiser took a visual inspection. After discovering that the opponent's destroyer will reach the position of the mythical treasure chest 1 step earlier than himself, the cruiser opened fire directly towards the opponent. At the same time, several anti-ship missiles also shot up into the sky. It roared and launched towards the opponent's battleship, although 2 of them were blown up by near-defense guns. But Renju had a few bombs on his deck. FK, you bloody bastard. The destroyer looked at the treasure chest that was less than 1,000 meters away from him. But he looked at himself and was knocked out of 1/10 of his blood. After weighing the success rate and mortality rate, he finally chose to give up. No chance of survival. Then what's the point of rushing forward to grab it? Going up to deliver the head. He immediately asked the crew to control the battleship and start turning away. And after the cruiser found that the opponent had given up the fight, it took advantage of the situation and stopped shooting. He also didn't want to really fight to the death with the other party, because there is no need. Soon, the cruiser came to the mythical treasure chest. A bald-headed Caucasian man ran out of the control room quickly when he took the fishing net to salvage the treasure chest. As a result, the fishing net passed directly over the treasure chest. The bald man was instantly dumbfounded. This proves that he did not grab the last blow. There is no qualification to salvage this mythical treasure chest. 057 Fark. This caused the bald man's punch to hit the deck of the battleship. Not far away, the destroyer God Chosen, who has been paying attention to the situation here, immediately gloated and laughed after seeing this scene, pointing at the cruiser and cursing, "Fool, FKU," and other curse words. But it didn't take long for him to be happy. There was only a sound of shoo shoo shoo. But from Qin Tian's huge battleship, 4 flying fish missiles flew into the sky. I saw the 4 flying fish missiles turning slightly in midair. Then he rushed straight towards his destroyer at a fast speed. No, Qin Tian, I was wrong, please forgive me. The chosen one of the destroyer screamed in despair after seeing the 4 anti-ship missiles. But there is no reason to take back the arrow that has already left the string. The Myth-class Y-15 anti-ship missile flying at low altitude perfectly avoided the perception detection of the near-defense gun. Then the aiming head bombarded the opponent's ship one after another with incomparable precision. It directly emptied the blood bar of the opponent's destroyer. It was sunk on the Black Sea. Gudong. Far away. The white bald man swallowed hard after seeing the end of the destroyer. Then he quickly ran to the control room. Using the loudspeaker, he shouted loudly towards Qin Tian. Dear Mr. Qin Tian, I have no malice. I am willing to compensate you. I just ask you to let me live. 54%. Chapter 273 Naming the Painting, Nemesis. It's just that Qin Tian doesn't like him at all. With a single thought, he chose the talent skill, must hit. The barrels of the 3 main guns rotated slowly, directly aimed at the opponent's cruiser. Oh, shit, you damn yellow-skinned monkey. I've already decided to compensate you, what else do you want? Didn't I just want to prostitute you with a mythical level chest? You are so powerful, there are plenty of mythical level treasure chests, why bother with this one? Seeing that Qin Tian still planned to shoot him, the white-skinned man became anxious immediately. The one who couldn't speak but his brain began to chatter endlessly. Qin Tian was dumbfounded when he heard this, with a dull expression on his face. Damn, this is so. I really gave the other party a face. There is no one who has had a cerebral thrombosis for decades and can't say such stupid things at all. So Qin Tian simply told him to shut up. He was directly given a must-hit triple. 24 shells bombarded his battleship without any omission in the eyes of the other party's liver and gallbladder. In an instant, all the HP of his battleship was emptied. The flames of the sacrificial explosion soared into the sky. What shocked the remaining 2 gods chosen who were hiding around was a huge shock. Then without saying a word, he ordered his crew to sail away. What the hell, this Yanlong man is really too wolf. Originally, when they saw those 2 guys go to snatch the treasure box, and then they regretted it when they were safe and sound. Regret why I didn't have the courage to go up and give it a go. But now they are only lucky. Fortunately, I was not dazzled by interests. Otherwise, it's not just those 2 guys who are sunk in this disgusting sea. Qin Tian has been paying attention to the plane map. Seeing that the 2 guys who didn't make a move all ran away. Only then did he gesture towards Wei Chen in the direction of the control room. Then the battleship moved slowly. Soon came to the second mythical treasure chest. Qin Tian salvaged it, opened the cover easily. Congratulations to the captain for obtaining the battleship naming painting scroll ×1. See this open item. Qin Tian's deep eyes suddenly moved slightly. Name the paint job. Is this the same nature as Cecily's Liberty livery? It seems that using this thing can add additional attributes to the battleship, right? He looked curiously at the scroll in his hand. Then I chose to use it with a thought. Using this scroll requires naming the battleship. Here reminders of the will of the planet. It was only then that Qin Tian remembered that he hadn't officially named his battleship yet. So with a thought, he opened the attribute panel of his battleship. Thinking of the blueprint of the Nemesis aircraft carrier in my hand. He was too lazy to waste his brain cells thinking of a name. Just fill in the name of the Nemesis in the nameable field of the battleship attribute panel. With him named Success, Rui, Li Yao, Yao Lang and other crew members on the battleship immediately knew the new name of the battleship they were on naturally. As the Nemesis, the name is really apt. Rui sat in the seat of the Genesis-class dual 57mm naval gun, looking at the corpses of countless compatriots that kept surging up in the dark sea. The grief and loneliness in his eyes were gradually suppressed, and then what rose up was the endless coldness and firmness. And Qin Tian, who finished naming the battleship, picked up the naming painting scroll again. Then directly choose to use it. Using the named painting is completed. Congratulations to the captain for getting life plus 5000, attack plus 1000, defense plus 500 painting attribute bonus. Hearing the reminder of the will of the planet, Qin Tian's eyes suddenly brightened. I couldn't help but admire in my heart. Cow wow. It is indeed a good thing opened from a mythical treasure chest. This attribute bonus is simply too powerful. He took advantage of the opportunity to open the attribute panel of his battleship and took a look. It can be seen that the blood volume of 56,850 has broken through the 60,000 mark and has become 61,850, and the attack value of 59861-64147 has also become 60861-65147, and the defense has been directly increased from 2,500 to 3,000. Just this simple painting. It has greatly improved the strength of his battleship. Now that the strength has been improved, naturally, the battle cannot be stopped. However, it has already experienced 2 waves of high-intensity combat. The ammunition of the battleship must be consumed. So Qin Tian went down to the ammunition compartment of the ship and decided to replenish a wave of ammunition. As a result, when he finished replenishing the shells of the Genesis-class triple-mounted Mk 406mm main naval gun, he came to the ammunition bay of the Myth-class 50-tube 122mm rocket launcher to replenish the rocket launcher. However, he found that the metal sheet materials of his excellent unit had been declared exhausted. He opened the data backpack in a daze and took a look. Inferior metal sheet, 132,688. Ordinary metal sheet, 589. Excellent metal sheet, 93. He still has a little bit of inferior metal sheet. But the high-quality metal sheet has really bottomed out. He knew that there were so many of these low-quality metal pieces, all because of the spoils he got from sinking the destroyer and cruiser just now. If not for this, he may be even poorer. I recalled it. After he upgrades a large battleship, it is true that there are only a little over 200,000 pieces of fine metal left. Later, there were several tough battles. A lot of ammunition was consumed. No wonder it will bottom out. He sighed helplessly. He directly opened Zhang Zongjun's private chat interface. Send a message to the other party. General Zhang, I urgently need a batch of high-quality metal sheets for emergency. And Zhang Zongjun quickly got back the information. How many? Crisp and direct. Qin Tian is not polite either. Opening your mouth is 1 million. Okay, wait a minute, I'll make it up for you. After Zhang Zongjun finished speaking, there was no movement. Do you want to take out some Leader Rebia King meat for sale? After Qin Tian thought for a while, he finally dismissed the idea. Without him, he is really short of resources now. The meat of the world boss Rebia should not be used for this. And at this moment, Zhang Zongjun has gathered all the supplies there. Mum Hao Hao initiated a transaction application to him. 1 million units of fine sheet metal. Yes, it is good material. And it's still 1 million units. Qin Tian is not hypocritical. Just choose to agree. After receiving this 1 million high-quality metal sheet materials, he directly sent a message to Zhang Zongjun. Thank you, General Zhang, I will return these supplies as soon as possible. 1 million pieces of fine metal. That's 4 million units of low-quality metal pieces. This is not comparable to those wood and plastic. Without thinking about it, you can know that the other party has borrowed this million high-quality metal pieces from him under the pressure and risk. It can also be seen from this how high the credibility he now has in the Imperial Navy. He has always worked hard to create an image of integrity and trustworthiness. At this moment, it finally played a huge role. If it weren't for the materials he broke through the aircraft carrier, it would be too terrifying. He doesn't need to be so troublesome. 54%. Chapter 274 Target Corruptor Battleship, Alliance of the Moore Family. Just take out 1,000 units of his leader Rebia King meat. It should be enough for hundreds of thousands of high-quality resources. It's just that leader Rebia King meat is waiting for the cooldown of the auction to end after more than 10 days. He's going to auction it in the auction house. Because only the auction can maximize the benefits of these leader Rebia King meat. But now, in order not to delay the process of competing for the god-level treasure island, he can only owe some foreign debts first. After all, in Sea of Death, a crisis-ridden dungeon, he didn't dare to go out without guns, or ammunition. Just hitting 2 King-class cruisers one-on-one wasted more than 100,000 of his high-quality metal sheet ammunition. Then what kind of consumption will the King-class battleship consume? Shook his head. Put those thoughts behind you. Qin Tian then quickly resupplied all the ammunition bays. Replenishment is over. The 1 million high-quality metal sheet materials that had just been obtained turned into 940,000 in an instant. This consumption is simply a waste of money. Get this done. Qin Tian returned to the control room. Then opened the flat map. Put your gaze directly on the biggest blue icon. I don't know how powerful the battleship of the Corruptor can be. Since the materials on hand are somewhat scarce now, then he can only pick up the monster with the highest reward first to fight. Alang, Achin, Xiaofei, get ready. 55. This time we have attracted the opponent's battleship to fight. Sit on the bridge seat. Qin Tian reminded the 3 of them. Captain, are you going to fight a battleship? Hiss, I don't know what the battleship looks like. It's probably even more disgusting. I'm really looking forward to it. I'll go. Ah Chen, you're really interested in this twisted and disgusting guy. It's really too perverted. Captain, leave it to us. The 3 of them joked and chatted for a few words. They all nodded to Qin Tian. I saw that they were not nervous or scared. Sunny made a, huh. Then directly locked the target on the largest blue battleship icon on the flat map. The 3 main ship guns fired at the same time. A distance of nearly 20,000 meters. 24 shells bombarded the huge battleship densely covered with broken limbs and arms. The opponent was directly bombarded with flesh and blood. Broken limbs and broken arms shot. Wang Defa, who the hell is this god who wants to attack that Corruptor battleship? Oh, I'm sorry, it's because it's too easy to kill those 2 cruisers, so you're directly aiming at this boss battleship. I just saw Age, 4 chosen ones leave behind the previous cruiser. Is this because they were dealt with by the opponent along with the corroded cruiser? Xie, don't mention it. The person who hunted the monsters there was the one from the Yanlong Empire, and the large battleships nearly 300 meters away had no power to fight against the corroded cruisers. Tian was killed within minutes. Indeed, I was there at that time. The attack power of those naval guns and missiles is really ridiculously strong. A single naval gun or missile can cause 2 to 3,000, 3 to 4,000 damage at every turn. Can you believe that? Oh, yes, it's really great that someone escaped alive with me. I don't know what those 2 people were thinking at all. They clearly saw how powerful the Qin Tian warship was, but they still dared to go out to snatch it. It was simply for the benefit that they even wanted their own lives. World in the chat channel. Countless people watched the conversation between these 2 people and probably guessed the situation at that time. At this time, Reese Duke, who was also in this copy of Sea of Death, when he saw the more than 2,000 injuries that the 2 said, in 3s and 4s. Instantly, there was a blazing fire of jealousy in his eyes. He took someone to fight the boss some time ago. The mythical main naval cannon that was finally opened from the mythical treasure chest can only produce a little over 2,000 blood. That made him happy for days. And now, but someone told him that Qin Tian's naval guns and anti-ship missiles can shoot 2 or 3,000, 3 or 4,000 HP. This was simply a stab in his heart. The ones that can deal such high damage must be naval guns of mythical quality or higher. And what is the quality above the mythical level? Genesis class. He came to this world of warships for 2 or 3 years. I really haven't heard of anyone who has launched a Genesis class warship armament. Damn it, how did that Yanlong Empire guy do it? It is rare to see a Genesis class battleship equipped with a single weapon. Why does it feel like a rotten street cabbage when it falls on the other party's head? Reese Duke is jealous at the same time. It is also puzzling. And at the same time, In another area of the Sea of Death dungeon, a tall and burly chocolate man was standing on the deck of his cruiser, sending a message to Berg, one of the 5 top executives of the Moore family. My lord, I just got the coordinates of Qin Tian in the Sea of Death. Shall we gather allies to deal with him? And Berg on the family island, after seeing the other party's news, immediately sent back a message to stop him. Barrow, don't do it. After stopping the stupid behavior of his subordinates, Berger continued the message. The times have changed, and our thinking must keep up with the pace of the times. Now that Qin Tian of the Yanlong Empire is rising strongly, his strength cannot be checked and balanced by just a few of our families. Even if you bring the first when the Third Fleet passes by, there is a high probability that you and the entire Third Fleet will be taken in. So, don't do this kind of meaningless death. See Berger's information. Barrow replied indifferently. All right, sir, then I will lead the fleet to avoid the opponent far away. Anyway, he is a retainer of the Moore family. Whatever decision he makes, he'll just have to obey when the time comes. No, Barrow, not only can't you avoid him, you have to find him and get close to him. My lord, I don't quite understand what you mean. Why do we do this? Seeing Berg's information, Barrow asked in astonishment. To get close to that Yanlong man. What an international joke. What if he was shot as an intruder before he even got close to the opponent? He really enjoys the survival life in this world of warships. I don't want to meet God so soon. Barrow, I need you to help me tell him that my Moore family is willing to reach a mutually beneficial cooperative relationship with him. You tell that Qin Tian that I want to be his friend, and he must agree. Seeing that the family actually planned to form an alliance with that Qin Tian. Only then did Barrow feel relieved. No matter how murderous the Yanlong man is. After hearing the news, I should talk about it calmly. After all, there is not an old saying in the Yanlong Empire. What is it called? Enemies should be resolved rather than knotted. Many friends have multiple paths. Come to think of it, this is indeed the case. Presumably Qin Tian shouldn't be so ignorant. Think about it. After Barrow replied to Berg with the sentence, okay, my lord, I'll do it right away. He then led the third fleet of thousands of warships to head towards the sea area where Qin Tian was. 54%. Chapter 275, Killing the King-class battleship, another Genesis-class treasure chest. And Qin Tian's side. When the World Chat channel is still discussing these things continuously. However, Qin Tian has already started fighting with that corroded battleship. The Corruptor battleship, which was held hostage by him 3 times in a row, had just left the fleet. Then he poured a wave of saturation blows of dozens of shells towards his position. Although most of them hit the sea, dozens of water jets were splashed. However, more than a dozen shells still bombarded the deck and hull of the Nemesis. When Qin Tian saw that the other party's dozen or so shells had hit nearly 1,200 approximately 0 blood volume of the Nemesis, his eyes narrowed immediately. You must know that he has a defense power as high as 3,000. But it was still hit with nearly 12,000 blood. If it is not such a high defense, doesn't that mean that the opponent's attack is very likely to deal 15,000 HP damage? However, when he saw that the blood volume of his battleship was missing a small amount, it began to gradually rise back. Only then did his heart relax a little. Obviously Rui has already made a move. Judging from the fact that the opponent can restore 10% of the battleship's HP every 30 seconds. Even if he finished the battle, the degree of damage to the battleship should not be too high. Now the main thing is to see how long the cooling time of the opponent's naval gun is. If it is 2 minutes, that depends on Rui. He is even confident that he can win this battle almost without injury. But if only for a little more than a minute, then he doesn't know how much blood he will lose. Boom, boom, boom. Qin Tian counted the time. About 1 minute and 10 seconds. The opponent's naval gun roared again. Once again, the blood bar of the Nemesis, which was almost full, was knocked down by more than 14,000 blood. Because this time the other party was lucky. More than 24 shells hit his battleship. This made Qin Tian very helpless. I didn't expect the opponent's attack power to be strong. Even the cooling time of the naval gun is so short. Thus, his beautiful fantasy of winning without injury was shattered. The two sides poured out a wave of attacks alternately with each other. Qin Tian finally saw the figure of the other party on the dark sea level. It stands to reason that the size of Qin Tian's Nemesis battleship is beyond common sense in people's eyes. But his battleship compared to the viciously twisted one in the distance, that is nothing short of insignificant. The opponent's battleship is too large and bloated. There is a hull of 330 to 40 meters plus the thick layer of stumps, broken arms and flesh and blood. Overall, it looks even bigger than the aircraft carrier that Heller Manston broke through. Come on, which big brother can help popularize science? Is such a big battleship really reasonable? Ahem, what kind of joke are you talking about, brother of the building manager? Since the appearance of World of Warships, how many things in this world do you think can be described by the word reasonable? Oh, fuck, this corroded King-class battleship is really disgusting. Looking at it like this, it looks like a battleship with flesh, hands and feet. It feels very distorted. The twisted ones you see are considered light. With so many hands and feet, I feel like my trypophobia has already been committed. What the hell? With such thick flesh and blood, I am a little worried whether Qin Shen can beat this King-class battleship. I am afraid that this defense will not be able to reach the sky. And Qin Tian sighed, looking at the huge monster sailing over at a leisurely pace. As soon as he moved his mind, he directly used the divine detective technique towards the opponent. Corroded King-class battleship. Health volume. 3,932 225 thousandths. Note. It comes with a corrosive halo. When damaged, it can restore 70% of the damaged blood by absorbing corpses in the sea, and the cooling time is 30 seconds. See the opponent's blood volume and recovery effect. Qin Tian couldn't help but sucked in a breath of cold air. More than 200,000 blood volume, coupled with the up to 70% blood recovery ability and powerful attack power. This guy is simply incomprehensible to those ordinary gods chosen. Fortunately, the opponent's blood recovery skills have a 30-second cooldown. If only 15 seconds, then even he didn't have the confidence to summon up the courage to confront the opponent. And as the opponent completely left the fleet, he came to an area tens of thousands of kilometers away from him. Qin Tian immediately ordered Yao Lang and Ma Fei to attack with full firepower. For a while, the two battleships, whose combat power has almost reached the ceiling level of the current battleship, launched a life and death duel in this sea area. 0. Seeking Flowers 00. The advantage of the corrupted King-class battleship is that it has a lot of HP, high defense, large HP recovery, and not weak attack power. The advantage of the battleship Qin Tian's nemesis lies in its fast regenerating rate, several naval guns, rocket launchers, and anti-ship missiles with short cooling time, fast attack speed, and a wave of 3 main naval guns every minute. Triple shot. So after fighting for more than 20 minutes, that corrupted King-class battleship was unable to match Qin Tian's nemesis after all. After knocking out a third of the nemesis's blood bar, the opponent's blood volume was also completely cleared by 4 mythical class Y-15 anti-ship missiles. Looking at the colorful light treasure box that floated up from the place where the other party sank, it didn't take a while. Qin Tian's eyes lit up instantly. IFK. It's actually a Genesis-level treasure chest again. When Qin Tian saw the treasure chest, he was overjoyed and told Wei Chen to drive the battleship over quickly. To be honest, a Genesis-level treasure chest can be exploded. This was something Qin Tian hadn't expected at all. He originally thought that the most he could do was explode a mythical treasure chest. And everyone in the live broadcast room was stunned when they saw the treasure chest with colorful lights. FK me, it's actually a creation-level treasure chest again. God, Qin is so lucky. Oh, Xiete, we don't even know what blueprint Qin Tian got out of the Genesis treasure chest last time. This time, another Genesis treasure chest was released. Could it be that this creation-level treasure chest will be rotten in the future? Hey, you upstairs are probably thinking about farting. If you want to say that the high-level treasure chest is bad, there is still a possibility, but the top-level creation-level treasure chest is just thinking about it. Wang Defa, after you said that, I just remembered, what kind of blueprint was opened by Qin Tian last time for the creation-level treasure chest? After planet will increase the concealment of World of Warships, we even many chosen ones don't know what they get when they open the box. Qin Tian naturally didn't know about the commotion in the live broadcast room. At this moment, he salvaged the colorful creation-level treasure chests. Put it in front of your eyes and pray silently in your heart. Then with both hands, the lid of the treasure chest was completely lifted to reveal it. 55%. Chapter 276 50,000 barrels of crude oil, pay off foreign debts. Qin Tian stood on the deck at the bow of the ship. Look at the colorful treasure chest in front of you. Grab the lid with both hands and forcefully. He lifted it up. Instantly, a series of planetary will prompts sounded. Congratulations to the captain for obtaining the Genesis-class triple-mounted Mk 406mm main naval gun ×1. Congratulations to the captain for obtaining the Genesis-class Y-21 anti-ship missile blueprint ×1. Congratulations to the captain for obtaining the blueprint of the mythical unmanned fighter jet ×10. Congratulations to the captain for obtaining 100,000 units of fine wood. Congratulations to the captain for obtaining 100,000 units of fine flax. Congratulations to the captain for obtaining 100,000 units of fine metal sheets. Congratulations to the captain for obtaining 100,000 units of excellent plastics. Congratulations to the captain for obtaining 50,000 barrels of crude oil. With the voice of the planet's will, it fell. Qin Tian saw that the entire deck was completely occupied by piles of supplies and several layers of crude oil barrels in an instant. Leaving aside the drawings of the Genesis-class main naval gun, the Genesis-class anti-ship missiles and the Myth-class unmanned fighter jets. Just the pile of crude oil barrels on the deck that surrounded him made Qin Tian look pleasantly surprised. Developed. This is really dozing off, and someone will give you a pillow. He is now worried about the source of supplies. As a result, 50,000 barrels of crude oil were opened for him from a Genesis-level treasure chest. What is the concept of 50,000 barrels of crude oil? According to the current, crude oil is not easy to come out. Zhang Zongjun gave him the market price to sell. The price of wood, plastic and flax traded in a barrel of crude oil is 300 units of inferior materials. The price of metal pieces and rags traded is 220 units of inferior materials. Just take the shoddy sheet metal for the count. If all 50,000 barrels of crude oil are sold, that is 11 million units of inferior metal sheets. And now he owes Zhang Zongjun 1 million high-quality metal sheet materials. Converted into low-quality metal sheets, that is 4 million units. Even if the only million foreign debt is paid off, he still has about 7 million low-quality metal pieces left in his hand. This is a proper way to help him solve his urgent needs. And in the live broadcast room, when everyone saw the pile of crude oil barrels that had completely disappeared into the night sky, they were all stunned by the scene on the screen. Oh my God, how many barrels of crude oil does this cost? Not to mention filling up the entire battleship, it's still so high. Tisk tisk tisk, I don't know, but judging by the appearance, I'm afraid it will cost tens of thousands of barrels of crude oil. Hiss, Qin Shen is getting rich. Tens of thousands of barrels of crude oil, according to the current market price, can be sold at least 2 million units of low-quality metal sheets. Invincible, it turns out that this dungeon of the Sea of Death is not only a paradise for battleship equipment, but also a good place to collect supplies. Hey, don't dream, you don't even look at what level of treasure chest Qin Shen opened these materials from. Ordinary treasure chests can only open some decent battleship armaments. In the studio, everyone feels a little numb. The usual month of shock is not as much as today. Many of them couldn't help but feel a little suspicious. Is this dungeon of Sea of Death specially prepared for Qin Tian himself? Why does it feel that the combined rewards of others are not as much as the rewards he received alone? Nature. These big things. Naturally, those favored by the gods were sent in. Let them notify the various heads of their forces. Soon, the chosen ones of countless forces will know that Qin Tian defeated a corroded battleship in the Sea of Death. And from it, the battleship armaments and blueprints, as well as tens of thousands of barrels of crude oil, were drawn. Baga, why? Why is this Qin Tian's strength and luck so good? God Amaterasu, is there really no hope for our Bangua kingdom? Sea of Death in the dungeon. In a cherry blossom fleet consisting of 3 cruisers and 30 destroyers. A Sakura officer with a square beard in the middle of his lips looked at the message in the private message. Can't help but let out a mournful cry. And God's chosen ones like Reese and Cecily who are already strong. After getting the news, I quickly concluded one thing. That is in the Sea of Death. The stronger the wild monster you challenge, the material rewards harvested are more advanced and richer. Reese with this idea, he quickly turned his attention to those corrupted King-class cruisers. And Qin Tian's nemesis. Qin Tian saw that his battleship was completely stuffed with crude oil barrels and could not operate normally at all. Immediately with a thought, he opened Zhang Zongjun's private chat. Then a message was sent. General Zhang, is crude oil collected? There are a lot of them. I will accept as much as you have. Qin Tian's message has just been sent. Zhang Zongjun's reply came immediately. It was as if he had been waiting for him. Qin Tian smiled without being wordy. Send a message directly. 45,000 barrels of crude oil. Except for what I owe, all will be replaced with high-quality metal sheets. General Zhang, can you see if you can do it there? Seeing these words, Zhang Zongjun almost choked on a mouthful of water. 45,000 barrels of crude oil, selling low-quality metal sheets as 9.9 million units. Throw away the 4 million that the other party owes me. That also cost 5.9 million low-quality metal pieces. The key is that this kid has a good idea. Take away all the good materials from yourself. All that was traded to him were inferior materials. At that time, I will have to spend more manpower to synthesize it. You kid is a student thief. Zhang Zongjun complained about Qin Tian, and then sent a message. We don't have many high-quality metal pieces, so we can give you another 500,000 at most. Qin Tian took a look. 500,000 is fine. It is equivalent to the amount of 2 million pieces of inferior metal. So he agreed right away. Send a transaction request to the other party. He put 45,000 barrels of crude oil on the battleship. After a while, Zhang Zongjun directly put up 500,000 units of high-quality metal sheets and 3.9 million units of low-quality metal sheets. Once this transaction is completed, 1.1. The deck, which was originally piled up, became empty in an instant. All that was left was the piles of supplies. Then when Qin Tian was thinking about whether he should go down and send all the inferior metal sheet materials to the warehouse curry, I saw that Sun Xiaoyang had already come to the deck one step ahead. After seeing Qin Tian's figure, he immediately walked over. Captain, curry is running out of metal pieces. Hear what the other person has to say. Qin Tian smiled and said, don't worry, I've already made it up. Then he pointed to the piles of materials on the ground and said, and there are some materials here, but they can only be piled on the deck. Sun Xiaoyang took a look. He grinned at Qin Tian and said, don't worry, Captain, just leave this trivial matter to me. Talking. I didn't see any movement from him. The supplies on the deck were all emptied. 55%. Chapter 277 Explosion rate within a limited time. Another way to repair the battleship. Seeing the hundreds of thousands of good supplies on the deck disappear instantly, Qin Tian was a little surprised, looked at the other party and said, those supplies. Sun Xiaoyang hurriedly said, Captain, don't worry, I have already moved all those supplies to the curry below. This is an ability that comes with my tidying talent. It can move items for a short distance. With the use of the talent with deeper understanding, the amount and distance that can be used will also be deepened. Go, take me to see. Hear what the other person has to say. Qin Tian was a little curious. He wants to see and see. By the way, I also extracted the metal sheet materials I traded and put them in the warehouse curry. Put away the stack of blueprints in the barrel. Qin Tian followed Sun Xiaoyang down to the curry under the cabin. Captain, Kang Curry Tang Ming is watching. When I saw Qin Tian, I immediately saluted and said hello. Qin Tian smiled and nodded towards him. Then he glanced back and forth. Sure enough, he saw that the piles of high-quality materials that were still on the deck just now all appeared in the warehouse curry. It has to be said that this is indeed a very practical skill. Yes, this skill is quite practical. Qin Tian praised. Then opened the background in the O6 trading market. The 500,000 units of high-quality metal pieces and the 3.9 million units of low-quality metal pieces were extracted. This is 500,000 units of high-quality metal pieces and 3.9 million units of low-quality metal pieces. You can synthesize them later, and I will go to replenish a wave of ammunition first. Put away the supplies. After talking to the two of them, Qin Tian immediately walked towards those ammunition bays. There are still several battles to be fought in the future. DDDD. And at this moment, suddenly, a private message notification sounded in his mind. Open it and have a look. It was discovered that it was Zhang Zongjun's information. By the way, are you still at the place where you killed the King-class battleship? See each other's information. Qin Tian replied. Yes, I still need to fight a few more battles to recover my blood before leaving. Zhang Zongjun hurriedly sent a message to remind him. You guys, pay attention, I forgot to tell you just now, don't stay in one place for too long in the copy of the Sea of Death. Just now you killed the King-class battleship and got tens of thousands of barrels of crude oil. It has been brought in by the gods from all over the world. Be careful not to be ambushed by the enemy. After all, your coordinates have been exposed. See this message. Only then did Qin Tian react. It really is. When he killed the two gods chosen who wanted to snatch his treasure chest, the other two gods chosen escaped. And even if those two don't run away, the coordinates of this sea area were first revealed by others. I don't know how many gods chosen are rushing here. So it really needs to be transferred as soon as possible. Oh, by the way, everyone in the Sea of Death dungeon only has the highest explosion rate on the first day of each month. Explore more during a day or two, and after 2 days there's no need to stay. What kind of rice? Is there such a saying? See this message. Qin Tian's expression couldn't help but startled. Needless to say, this information was obviously concealed deliberately by someone with a heart. Although I don't know where Zhang Zongjun knew about it. But it was indeed a very useful piece of information for him. I'm dizzy. After working for a long time, there is still a time limit for this explosion rate. No wonder many of the chosen ones in the World Chat channel are complaining. It is said that killing wild monsters is not directly proportional to the rewards obtained. After a long time, it turned out that the reason was here. Fortunately, he came directly to the sea area of the corruptor fleet after getting the coordinates. If you wander around blindly, it is estimated that there is not much gain now. After he returned a message to Zhang Zongjun. After that, nearly 100,000 yuan of high-quality metal sheet resources were spent to replenish all the ammunition in all the ammunition bays. After finishing these, he hurried up to the deck, ready for the next move. Although the most difficult King-class battleship was solved by him. But there are still many things that need him to direct. For example, the pitted deck and hull were shot by the guns of the King-class battleship. For the Nemesis, the loss of 1/3 of the blood volume is not a small amount. About 20,000 blood volume. If it is repaired by materials alone. Without a few million supplies, I am afraid that it cannot be repaired. But for Qin Tian, who is in urgent need of supplies right now, spending millions of dollars in supplies to repair a battleship is nothing short of reckless. Head squeezed by the door. So he needs to find another way. That is to use Rui's recovery feature to save himself materials. In this case, it is undoubtedly a very good idea to bully those King-class cruisers. It's just that now I know the problem of the burst rate limit from Zhang Zongjun. Qin Tian no longer had the time to linger. Come on deck. The first thing he had to do, of course, was to replace the shotgun with a cannon. Unload a green quality 406mm twin main gun with only 410 damage. Then the Genesis class triple-mounted Mk 406mm main naval gun was installed. The attack power immediately increased a lot. At this time, Qin Tian felt somewhat regretful. If he is now bundled with the must-hit talent. Directly bind 2 Genesis class triple-mounted Mk 406mm main naval guns and 1 legendary class triple-mounted Mk 406mm main naval gun. Then, must hit, the damage of the 3 consecutive hits will be at least half higher than it is now. But it's too late to say anything now. I can only wait for when to open a skill upgrade coupon. Put those thoughts behind you. Qin Tian quickly came to Rui's side. He patted the other party's shoulder and said, Rui, 770 next we will fight a few King-class cruisers to restore the status of the Nemesis, then it will all depend on you. Rui Wenyan nodded. He said with a serious face, Don't worry, Captain, just leave it to me. Just looking at the pitted bomb craters on the deck, he also knew how badly the current Nemesis was damaged. This is the time when his characteristic ability comes in handy. Nodded. Qin Tian thought. Then the flat map opened. Then lock on a corrupted King-class cruiser and there will be a wave of must-hit 3 times. After seeing the opponent leave the fleet. After sailing towards him in a hurry. Qin Tian withdrew his attention. Turn around and go back to the control room. Alang, Xiao Fei, get ready, we will fight a few more King-class cruisers, and we will leave here after the battleship's blood volume has almost recovered. Achin, control the battleship to sail forward at a low speed. Finished. Qin Tian sat on the bridge seat and waited silently. In the control room, the 3 who had received Qin Tian's order naturally did not dare to dawdle. Immediately concentrated on action, Wei Chen controlled the battleship to slowly approach the corruptor fleet. And Yao Lang and Ma Fei stared at the dark sea level in the distance. Lost the long-range detection capability of radar. More than 3,000 meters. They can only rely on their own experience to initiate manual shooting at the enemy. 55%. Chapter 278 3 good things broke out, encountering the Moor fleet. And the result was no surprise. Qin Tian then attracted 3 corrupted King-class cruisers. Then the 3 King-class cruisers were all eliminated without exception. With these 3 battles, the blood volume of the battleship Qin Nemesis successfully recovered to 99%. And from the 3 mythical treasure chests, a epic rank universal military cabin blueprint, a legendary ship figure blueprint, and a mythical rank treasure chest pickup were obtained. These 3 items are all items that can be used now, and are extremely practical items. It made Qin excited for a while. The universal military cabin is a cabin dedicated to making ammunition for various warship armaments. With this building, in the future, he won't have to go to the ammunition bay to resupply ammunition. And legendary ship figure drawing can be advanced to Genesis rank ship figure drawing with detective technique. When it is manufactured, the equipment can increase the combat effectiveness of the battleship. As for mythical treasure chest pickup, this is even more interesting. As the name suggests, that is to say, after equipping this thing, in the future, Qin would not need to salvage any treasure chests by himself. This thing can directly automatically pick up the treasure chests that belong to Qin himself or are unowned nearby. The higher the grade, the wider the range that can be automatically picked up. But Qin couldn't care less about looking at his spoils right now. He casually pointed Wei Chen in a direction to the left. The battleship then left the corruptor fleet, which had faintly split apart due to the loss of the King-class battleship. Drive quickly to the left. At this moment, in the plane map that Qin opened, you can see within 30 nautical miles of Fang Yuan. Hundreds of destroyers and cruisers are sailing in this direction. After leaving the next place of right and wrong, Qin looked at that less than 6 hours had passed since the 24 hours of the first day. He was paying attention to the information in the world chat channel. While looking at the icons on the flat map, he wanted to kill another King-class battleship. But look at it. It seems to be quite difficult to find another King-class battleship next. Don't know where that guy Dick is now. Like the King-class battleship that Qin killed, he didn't feel how intelligent the opponent was. But in the world chat channel, many people are saying that some corruptor warships they encounter can not only ambush, but also surround them in a roundabout way. So Qin was very suspicious. The reason why those corruptor battleships have such a high intelligence should be inseparable from that guy Dick. And just relying on this one hand, Qin felt that he was probably no match for the other party in this instance of Sea of Death. Without him, only the opponent can control those corruptor fleets. And it's scary to give a certain amount of intelligence to those half-dead guys. Just like the King-class battleship he killed. If the other party knows how to take the remaining few King-class cruisers and dozens of King-class destroyers with them, then with the opponent's round of attack, he can deal terrifying damage with tens of thousands of blood. Qin can only run away obediently. How can there be a chance to kill the opponent? Captain, Uncle Yu asked me to invite you to eat. And when Qin was thinking about these things, Yu Dai asked Fang Peng to come up and tell everyone to go down for dinner. During the day, because I just came to this disgusting environment full of dead bodies and the breath of death. In addition, he has always been in a highly tense fighting state. So everyone has no appetite to eat at noon. Now it seems that the time has passed 6 o'clock. And the battle is over. I'm used to seeing dead bodies all over the sea. So when it comes to eating, the stomachs of several people really became hungry all at once. It's just in this dangerous dungeon. In order to avoid unexpected situations, Qin still decided to take Yao Lang, Wei Chen and Ma Fei to guard the first shift in the control room. It wasn't until Dong Zhuang and Chu Hongbao quickly finished their meal and came up to take over. Qin took the 3 of them to the restaurant to finish their meal. For dinner, Yu Dai cooks stewed rice and boiled pork slices. Because the boiled pork slices are a bit spicy, what everyone eats is called a meal. Everyone stopped after eating 2 or 3 bowls of rice dishes. Fortunately, the boiled pork slices and rice made by Yu Hai are relatively large. This avoided the embarrassing situation where everyone would have nothing to eat when they were half full. Eat and drink enough. Qin asked Yao Lang and the others who had been fighting for a day to go back and rest. He went to each ammunition bay to resupply to full capacity. Just haven't waited for him to replenish. The battleship's alarm system sounded. Red warning lights began to flicker frantically in the cabin aisle. Qin was shocked when he saw this. Only then did I realize that I had forgotten to open the flat map and be on guard all the time. Curse yourself for being stupid. He hurriedly opened the plane map to check it. I saw it not far in front of my battleship. A large number of battleships of all levels appeared in the dark. Look at that number. There must be at least 1,000 ships. But what made Qin Tian feel relieved was those ship icons are not the blue icons representing corruptor ships. This relieved Qin Tian a lot. I'll go. It's okay. It's just thousands of ordinary gods' chosen battleships. It's probably the fleet of some big capital family. After Qin Tian muttered, lift your legs and walk out of the ammunition compartment, and walk towards the stairs towards the deck. As a result, not far away, I saw Li Yao who was hurrying towards me. Captain, we have encountered the enemy. The number is probably more than 1,000 warships. As soon as Li Yao saw Qin Tian, she rushed to report. Qin Tian nodded and said with a slight smile, it's okay, don't worry, it should be the fleet of some big capital family. If the other party dares to attack, we are not afraid of them. Seeing his captain so calm, Li Yao also felt relieved. Then followed Qin Tian and walked towards the top of the deck. One on deck, I saw that Rui and his group of fighters were all in place. Li Yao also followed Qin Tian to the boat building. Get Zhao, then come and stand in front of her beloved Gatling machine gun. Looking into the distance from the ship tower, it can be seen that a large number of warships are moving rapidly in this direction. Relying on the enhanced superhuman vision, Qin Tian quickly saw some symbols of the Moore family from that fleet. Is it the Moore family? The corner of his mouth raised slightly. Now he is worried that his supplies are not enough. If you can plunder the island of another big capital family, it should pay off a lot. Think here. Qin Tian's heart suddenly became hot. Then he walked quickly into the control room. Captain, the opponent's fleet has thousands of ships. Shall we fight or not? See Qin Tian come in. Zhu asked directly, eager to try. This is 1 against 1,000. And it is almost a big scene of winning. To be honest, if it weren't for his self-control, it is estimated that he could not help pressing the fire button long ago. 55%. Chapter 279. Exchange a coordinate for your friendship and alliance. Turn off the siren first, boy. Looking at the other party's impatience that is just around the corner, Qin Tian amused Zula to turn off the alarm system first. Then just as he nodded, ready to agree to Zuli's firing. But I heard a voice suddenly sounded from the loudspeaker of the fleet in front. Excuse me, is the Yanlong Empire Qin Tian in front, Mr. Qin's warship? Hearing such a respectful and polite question from the other party, Qin Tian couldn't help being stunned for a moment. But on second thought, it is estimated that the other party is seeing a large battleship. He didn't dare to start a battle rashly. So ask first before speaking. It is estimated that we will do it when we get the exact news. So he gave Zula a wink directly. That means to make the latter ready to attack at any time. Zula nodded immediately when he saw it. He pressed his hand on the fire control button. Seeing that several people were ready to fight, only then did Qin Tian turn on the loudspeaker equipment. Said lightly towards the other party, that's right, I am Qin Tian. After Qin Tian finished speaking this sentence, in front of the center console, Zula excitedly clapped his hand to the fire button of the fire control button. But the voice of the other party still said respectfully, Mr. Qin, hello, I am the captain of the 3rd Fleet of the Moore family, Barrow, and it is an honor to meet you. Qin Tian, Zula, Studio. Hearing the other party's still so polite words 647. Qin Tian frowned slightly, and Zula is an emergency brake. It was only at the last moment that he exhausted the last bit of strength in his body that he was pressing the fire button. He turned his head to look at Qin Tian in a daze, apparently asking if you want to call. And Qin Tian shook his head slightly after thinking about it. He wanted to see what kind of medicine was sold in the gourd of the Moore family. Maybe there is a loophole here that can be exploited. Facing Barrow's respectful and polite attitude, Qin Tian said indifferently, there's no need to beat around the bush. I'm more straightforward. Tell me, what do you want the Moore family to do? Barrow heard the words and immediately said, Lord Qin Tian may have misunderstood our Moore family. That's right, our Lord Berg wants to be your friend, Lord Qin Tian, and Lord Berg will discuss the details with you. I'm not qualified to know about that. Add me as friend. Qin Tian was a little surprised when he heard this. From his point of view, those rich foreign capitalists hated him deeply, and wished that he would die early and be reborn early. Why did the Moore family suddenly come over to add him as friends? In the studio, Monk Jong-er was puzzled when everyone heard the words. I knock, the Moore family is not planning to set me up with God Qin, right? First of all, they pretend to be polite, and then give God Qin a wave of evil after gaining the trust of God Qin. I don't think so. I have to say that Qin Tian of your Yanlong Empire is still very vigilant. Even a big bastard like me can see things. How could those guys from the Moore family not think that Qin Tian would be on guard? What about them? Oh, Xie Te, according to what you said, could it be that the Moore family wants to shake hands with Qin Tian? Shaking hands and making peace is not bad. This Qin Tian is really too powerful. If our Eurasian Federation and the Yanlong Empire join hands, maybe we can become a civilization that surpasses the civilization of the previous era. Don't forget what Qin Tian's subordinate Rui said. Don't you also want to be one of the corpses in the Black Ocean? Yes, the above is right. We are now facing the biggest change in thousands of years. It is the wisest choice to work together. The endless internal fighting not only did not make us stronger, but wasted in vain. It has strengthened the countless vitality of our human beings. That's right, let's not talk about the twin Sauron civilizations in the future. The Zurian invasion that World of Warships will soon face is a big challenge. Do you think that those alien species will be divided according to which country you are from? Let you off. Only unity is the last word, Ulla. In the studio, most people are now AGFC, starting to argue for alliances and solidarity. And in the control room, Zula turned his head to look at Qin Tian, and said worriedly, Captain, is there any fraud in the other party? Qin Tian rolled his eyes at him when he heard the words, and said, adding a friend to chat for a day, but not going to the Hongman banquet, what danger can there be? Finished. He said directly to the loudspeaker. Okay then, I'll send a message in the World Chat channel, and you can ask your Bog to add me. Barrow was overjoyed upon hearing this. After saying thank you, he immediately sent Berg a message. Briefly explain what Qin Tian said. And Qin Tian sighed, after opening the World Chat channel. As soon as he thought about it, he sent a message inside. Berg from the Moore family, I'm Qin Tian, you can add me as a friend now. World in the chat channel. Countless people were blown away after seeing this message. Oh my god, what does Qin Tian mean by sending this message? Berg, that's one of the 5 top executives of the Moore family. Could it be that people from the Moore family want to make peace with Qin Tian? Oh, Karma, is it possible that the Moore family wants to become a pioneer in promoting global alliances by doing this? Reese Duke at Berg Moer. Berg, what do you mean? Are you planning to form an alliance with this Yanlong person? Oswald Lott at Berg Moore. Oh fuck, Berg, you have to think about the consequences of what you do. My brother Phyllis died in his hands. I am Lott. The family is inseparable from that Qin Tian. On the island of the Moore family. Charles looked at these remarks in the World Chat channel and frowned and looked at his cousin. Berg, it seems that your kindness has not been exchanged for Qin Tian's friendly attitude. Berg said with a faint smile. Charles, my dear good brother, don't worry, these are secondary. As long as the other party is willing to let me add him as a friend, then we have already won half the battle. He didn't say much to his cousin. Berg quickly initiated a friend request to Qin Tian in the World Chat channel. And Qin Tian saw Berg's profile picture and name on the application interface. It is also a direct choice to agree. In his heart, he has already thought of one thing that can use the Moore family to add him as a friend, because he blocked the knife. Dee. He just agreed here. The other party sent a message over there. Hi, Mr. Qin, nice to meet you. Qin Tian replied very directly. I don't like to go around the corner. Tell me, what is the purpose of you adding me as a friend? The other party replied quickly. Okay, Mr. Qin speaks quickly, so I won't hide it anymore. I hope that with one coordinate, I can exchange for Mr. Qin's friendship and alliance. Seeing this, Qin Tian raised his eyebrows slightly. Good guy. The Moore family really wants to shake hands with him. What kind of medicine is sold in the gourd here? 55%. Chapter 280. The Moore family seeks an alliance, and the alliance fee is sky high. See each other's information. Qin Tian narrowed his eyes and calmly sent a message. Berg, what exactly is your Moore family planning? But in 3 or 4 seconds, there came back, a message came. Qin, we really have no malice. To use an old saying in your Yanlong Empire, it is called, a good bird chooses a tree to live in, and a good minister chooses a master to do things. Although it is impossible for our Moore family to submit to you, we also know that investment is strong. The latter is always a matter of making a profit without losing money, so we want to form a mutually beneficial alliance with you. Qin Tian naturally wouldn't be fooled by the other party's few words, lame. Immediately replied unceremoniously, but I don't trust you guys. And the other party is not annoyed. Normal. After all, we were once enemies, but there is a good saying, there is no permanent enemy or permanent friend in this world, interests are the most favorable factors to maintain our covenant. So in order to show my sincerity, I will first give Mr. Chin 3 big gifts. Seeing this, Chin Tian looked at this Berg from the Moore family with admiration. He sent a message to ask, "Are you not afraid that I will directly break the contract after accepting your benefits, and then kill you with my backhand?" Message him back directly. What benefits will this bring to you, Mr. Chin? The prosperity of the world is for profit, and the hustle and bustle of the world is for profit. As long as our covenant exists, the first big gift that our Moore family will give to Mr. Chin is every day for months, we will provide Mr. Chin with 1 million units each of high-quality wood, high-quality plastic, and high-quality metal sheet. Yes, Mr. Chin, you read that right, 1 million units each of the 3 most commonly used high-quality materials. Made. Big dog. Chin Tian couldn't help but curse secretly when he saw this. But it has to be said that this first big gift made Chin Tian a little cautious. Without waiting for his reply. Over there, Berg continued to open his chips. The second big gift. As long as Mr. Chin maintains our covenant, then every week, Mr. Chin can choose one of the 3 drawings we prepared for Mr. Chin as a covenant bonus. Don't worry, we will prepare it for Mr. Chin. Blueprints will never be lower than epic. Sky. Presumably, Mr. Chin should already know the news about the God-level treasure island, right? At this time, the other party suddenly sent such a question. Chin Tian's heart moved. He also replied directly. I do know about the double attribute of the God-level treasure island and the aircraft carrier. Berg was not surprised either. He immediately sent a message. As long as Mr. Chin is willing to form an alliance with my Moore family, then I will immediately tell Mr. Chin the coordinates of a God-level treasure island of the Lot family. In the future, no matter Mr. Chin himself use it or take it out to exchange for resources, that is the most precious wealth. IFK. When Chin Tian saw this piece of information, he couldn't help being speechless for a while. This actually went with him. Originally, he had paid attention to it in his heart. When they go to occupy the God-level treasure island of the Lotter family in the future. If everyone is wondering how he knows the coordinates of this God-level island, then he will release news and lie that the Moore family told him. But now he doesn't have to lie. The other party actually wanted to tell him the coordinates of a God-level island. I have to say, these big capitalists are really arrogant. Although the coordinates of the third God-level treasure island indicate that it is the God-level treasure island that the Lot family has set by default. But no family would have too much of this baby. Now the other party is willing to contribute. It can be seen that sincerity is indeed quite sufficient. And what astonished Chin Tian the most? What the other party happened to give was the God-level treasure island of the Lot family. This is to drive the ducks to the shelves and let him occupy the God-level treasure island of the Lot family. And it's still the kind that can't be occupied. And we have given so many benefits, and there is only one thing we hope for in return. That is, I hope that you, for the sake of our alliance, can help us tide over the difficulties when our Moore family is in trouble in the future. What else could Chin Tian say after seeing this? This condition is really too generous. All the supplies are almost the same as those given in vain. And what he has to do is to ensure that the Moore family will not be wiped out in the future. Isn't that the benefit of giving away for free? So, after Berg made another request for an alliance. With a thought, Chin Tian chose to accept the other party's alliance. Then he also sent a message to the other party. Since the alliance has been formed, I don't want to hear that people from your Moore family will participate in any actions to suppress my Yanlong Empire in the future, otherwise don't blame me for breaking the contract. 0. Seeking flowers. Berg immediately came back with a message. Mr. Chin, don't worry, we will definitely not let this happen. 4x, this is one of the God-level treasure islands controlled by the Lot family. With the bonus of double the attributes of the aircraft carrier, plus Mr. Chin's own strength, I believe that even those rare people, and don't even think about taking any advantage in Mr. Chin's hands. See this message from the other party. Chin Tian's eyes narrowed slightly for a moment. Until this moment, only then did he understand why Berg wanted to form an alliance with him even at the cost of so much supplies. It turns out that the opponent's vision has already surpassed the current national disputes. Instead, he looked directly at the future invasion of alien creatures. He was afraid that the Moore family would lose in the battle against the Zerares, so he hugged Chin Tian's thick leg in advance. Because from the current performance of the Chin Tian battleship, He has completely seen the epitome of the future aircraft carrier's combat effectiveness. It's different from the other capitalist tycoons who just want to contain Qin Tian. Berger was thinking, since Qin Tian's battleships are already so awesome, when the aircraft carrier is upgraded in the future, there will be a double attribute bonus. Isn't that just killing the Zuran? At that time, all the Zerare people will be wiped out here. The character of the will of the planet. Maybe another copy of an alien civilization can be opened. And Qin Tian also had to sigh. The opponent's move is indeed very wise and far-sighted. Next, I will trade 3 million high-quality materials to Mr. Qin, and I will take 3 epic quality blueprints for Mr. Qin to choose from. I hope our covenant will last forever. Berg finished sending the message. After a while, I sent him a private message and sent 3 drawings for him to choose. The first one is epic level large-scale planting ecological cabin blueprint rare. The second one is epic triple mount MK2-406mm main naval gun drawing. The third one is epic level universal autoloader blueprint. After reading it, Qin Tian chose epic level large-scale planting ecological cabin blueprint rare without saying a word. With this, at that time, upgrade the blueprint grade to the Genesis grade. Then his battleship might no longer have to worry about rice production. Genesis level planting cabin. I don't know how much output and maturity speed it can bring him. How much output and maturity speed it can bring him. How much output and